Chapter 1129. Logically speaking, this punch should have been able to blast the black-clothed man into dregs. Why did this black-clothed man block it with just a raise of his hand? Furthermore, there wasn't any chaotic flow of aura. What was going on? Everyone was dumbfounded at this moment. Even Wei Chang, Yi Zizi and Death Mage were stupefied. Why was it like this? Why didn't LV Liang's punch cause any harm to him? In fact, all the power was absorbed in an instant. Who was this black-clothed man? LV Liang was now very shocked. Her confident punch was actually blocked just like that. Furthermore, he was using his palm. Furthermore, the other party had not even released his Do Qi. How was this possible? How did he do it? You have the capital to be arrogant, but you shouldn't be arrogant in front of me, the black-robed man said indifferently, and his palm suddenly shone with boundless light. This aura was the same as the Pegasus meteor fist just now, but it was even more majestic. The man in black pushed LV Liang's fist lightly. Everything happened in an instant, leaving no time for anyone to react. LV Liang's eyes were filled with golden light. This man had actually absorbed the punch just now and turned it into his own strength to attack. This was an attack he had never seen before, because he didn't notice it at all. In an instant, LV Liang felt his right arm heat up. Wei Chang immediately disappeared from where he was, but he was still half a beat too late. A beam of golden light shot out from the black-clothed man's palm, drowning LV Liang's right arm and shooting straight into the sky. In this dark night, this long streak of golden light was as dazzling as a meteor. However, the pressure it emitted was terrifying. Fear spread in everyone's hearts. At this moment, those who could regain their senses all turned around and ran. This black-clothed man was too terrifying. Lonesome Hatred, who had come to his senses, chose to retreat immediately. Pure gold was indeed very important, but if he didn't have the life to enjoy it, it was unnecessary. Life was the most important thing. Wei Chang stopped in the air and looked at his little brother. At this moment, his right arm and right shoulder had completely disappeared. It formed a semicircle. If the attack had been on the head. If that was the case, then LV Lu would be insta-killed on the spot, and even Wei Chang would not be able to save her. LV Liang could not feel the pain at all. The real pain was on her face. He had actually been insta-killed by someone else. This is simply throwing away his honor's face. Thinking of what she had just said, LV Liang felt ashamed. In the entire team, there was no record of failure. However, just now, he had been defeated. Moreover, he had no power to fight back. This palm didn't land on his arm, but on his face. How am I going to face his honor when I return? How was he supposed to meet every member of the team? He had thrown all their faces away. At this moment, LV Liang's face was deathly pale. She was so ashamed that she wanted to die. The black-clothed man looked at LV Liang and asked curiously, "Are you sure you want to trade my life for pure gold?" Puff. LV Liang spat out a mouthful of blood. This was a blatant mockery. LV Liang's current mood was like dead ashes. Looking at her missing right shoulder, LV Liang clenched her left hand tightly. Suddenly, he slapped his own forehead. This gave Wei Chang a fright, and he shouted angrily, "What are you doing?" Wei Chang's shout shook the heavens and the earth. Even the black-clothed man revealed a surprised expression. LV Shu's left hand was grabbed tightly by Wei Chang. At this moment, Yi Zizi and Kai Yin had also appeared. Of course, Death Mage and Tang Wei were also present. Everyone looked at LV Liang. LV Liang could immediately tell that this person was Uncle Wei. Uncle Wei was actually here just now as well. LV Liang's stiff face became strange and a bit distorted. Men shed blood, but not tears. However, seeing that Uncle Wei was standing in front of him, LV Liang's tears flowed out. This is a type of guilt. I lost face for the entire team. What face do I have left to continue living in this world? What face do I have left to stand in front of his honor? I can only die to thank his honor and Uncle Wei for taking care of me. I'm sorry I've brought shame to everyone. LV Liang suddenly felt that his entire body was powerless. Death Mage immediately went to the side and supported LV Liang. Wei Chang's expression was very bad right now. My little brother was actually beaten to the point that he wanted to commit suicide. This is a great humiliation. After being in the team for so many years, when has something like this ever happened? Today can be considered as the beginning. Wei Chang turned his head and looked towards the black-clothed man. His gaze was ice cold. For something like this to happen, I have to bear the main responsibility. Tang Wei looked at Wei Chang and felt that the current Wei Chang was very scary, just like a nuclear bomb that was about to explode. Xiao Lu, you were too careless. If you do this, his honor will be angry. Yi Zizi said gravely. Just by hearing the voice, Yi Zizi knew that it was LV Liang. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to everyone. LV Liang was very ashamed. He really wanted to slap himself to death. At least he would feel a bit better in his heart. With an ice-cold tone, Wei Chang said, bring LV Liang back first. Yi Zizi originally wanted to fight against the black-clothed man, but when she felt that Wei Chang was acting strangely, she decided to give the opportunity to Wei Chang. After all, LV Liang was Wei Chang's little brother. Taking revenge for his little brother was also a normal thing. However, today one of LV Liang's arms was actually chopped off. This was not just his own matter. This was a big matter that concerned the entire team, and even his honor. If one person were to be humiliated, the entire team would be humiliated. I'll leave him to you then, don't let him escape. Yi Zizi warned. This black-clothed man must die. There is no other possibility. Before Wei Chang finished speaking, everyone else immediately left. Only Wei Chang and the black-clothed man remained in the sky. Meanwhile, the black-clothed man who was standing in the small workshop was very puzzled. The group of people seemed to know each other just now, and they were even chatting with each other for a bit. If all of them knew each other, why was there only one person left? Why didn't all of them come at me together? There aren't many people who are able to make all of the 7 deadly sins come at me together. The black-clothed man looked at the man in front of him and asked faintly, what do you plan to use to exchange for the gold this time? Your life. Wei Chang said faintly. If the little brother is unable to complete it, then I, the big brother, can only do it. The black-clothed man laughed lightly. This again? My life isn't that easy to take. In my opinion, it is still possible for you to take it. True, you are much stronger than that person just now, but I want to tell you, I am also much stronger than him. What happened just now was just an appetizer. The black-clothed man's tone was dull, but when he said it, it carried a kind of pretentiousness. To still say that what happened just now was just an appetizer, then what is the main course? Let's change to another place to spar. Wei Chang proposed faintly. In the past, Wei Chang didn't care about these things at all, but right now Wei Chang also cared about the casualties of commoners. As you wish. The black-clothed man didn't cower and agreed straightforwardly. Chapter 1130. The two disappeared into the night sky. All of the black-clothed men felt disappointed. This was going to be an ultimate battle, but they weren't going to watch it. This feeling was like having your masturbation tube cut off, that kind of disappointment and depression. LV Liang was also brought back to the inn by everyone. The Blood Tribe sisters were stunned for a moment. When they saw that their man's shoulder and arm had completely disappeared, their beautiful faces instantly paled. Hubby, what's wrong with you? The sisters burst into tears. Yi Zizi and the others took off their black masks, and Tang Wei let out a deep sigh. The accident that happened tonight is really something that I am unable to digest. LV Liang didn't even have the face to face his wives. They asked him what was wrong. How should he answer? He charged forward with arrogant words, only to be killed by the enemy instead? LV Liang slowly lowered his head, not daring to meet his wife's gaze. He felt that they were so unworthy. Yi Zizi hurriedly contacted Qing Yutong. This matter was not an ordinary matter, and right now, Qing Yutong was the person with the highest position among all of them. So it was best to let Qing Yutong make the decision. Very quickly, Qing Yutong received Yi Zizi's sound transmission, and she hurriedly ran over to the tavern at this side. Of course, they came together. The whole room was filled with people. Meanwhile, LV Liang was sitting on the ground expressionlessly, and he didn't dare to raise his head. The Blood Race sisters were worriedly waiting at the side. Big brother, what's wrong with you? Yihong had also rushed over at this time. Seeing that her big brother's right arm and shoulder were gone, she hurriedly asked. Although it was gone, The wound was automatically healing, but it could not grow a new arm. LV Liang finally raised her head and looked towards Yi Hong. When she saw Yi Hong's concerned gaze, LV Liang was unable to face Yi Hong. Not only was he a sinner, he didn't even set a good example. After taking a look at everyone in the room, LV Liang slowly knelt onto the ground. I am useless. I have brought shame to everyone, and even to his honor. Qin Yutong tightly wrinkled her eyebrows. Aren't we going to snatch a piece of pure gold? How did things turn out like this? Why did they come to the evil men's city? What the hell happened? Right now, Qin Yutong was completely confused, and she could only ask Tang Wei, who was at the side. Tang Wei told the whole story. It turned out that her brother-in-law needed pure gold, and everyone came out to look for it. On the other hand, LV Shu wanted to snatch the pure gold, but in the end, she was killed by someone. Qin Yutong's expression became grave, and she slowly sat on the wooden chair. LV Liang's defeat wasn't just LV Liang's fault. If brother-in-law knew about it, he would definitely be furious. Right now, Wei Chang was fighting with the black-clothed man, and Qin Yutong felt that with Wei Chang's strength he should be able to easily defeat the black-clothed man. This would be able to slightly wash away the humiliation, but with LV Liang being turned into such a state, Qin Yutong also didn't know how brother-in-law would choose. After all, this had never happened before. When one's underling was beaten to a cripple, one would definitely want to kill the entire family of the other party. In actuality, back then, Death Mage was also crippled by his honor. To be more precise, Death Mage's bones were all scattered. Wei Chang still kept this matter a secret. After all, Death Mage was summoned by his honor. However, LV Liang was different. LV Liang was his honor's little brother, and the significance of LV Liang was different. This little brother of mine was acting cool outside, and in the end he got his face slapped instead. If this matter were to spread out, where would his honor put his face? Let's wait for Uncle Wei to come back first. Tang Wei suggested in a low voice. Qin Yutong also felt that Wei Chang was right. We can only wait for Wei Chang to return before making a decision. Yi Hong had never seen her brother so depressed. Even when her brother was cuckolded, he did not look like this. From the looks of it, Big Brother has really suffered a huge blow this time. Right now, Zishan was also standing at the side silently. She wanted to make peace with Yi Hong, but there were a lot of people at the scene, and Zishan seemed to be unable to put down her face. On the contrary, I feel that the black-robed man is very powerful. Yi Zizi suddenly said while leaning on the side. Kai Yin nodded his head. He is indeed very powerful. To be able to absorb LV Liang's power and transform it into his own power to counterattack, it isn't that there aren't such methods, but to be able to do it to such a degree, it is rather difficult. The two lowly girls who mainly focused on strength started discussing. That black-robed man is probably the most powerful person that has appeared so far. To be able to instantly kill LV Liang, that kind of strength is very terrifying. I suddenly have a new understanding of this Kangluo continent. Brett said faintly. From the looks of it, I haven't completely understood this Kangluo continent in the past. Yi Zizi's gaze was also filled with excitement. I wonder how many of such powerful people there are. It would be great if there were a dozen of them. And right now, Tang Wei was worried about Uncle Wei. Just now, from what Yi Zizi said, the black-robed man seems to be very powerful, and Uncle Wei should be able to easily deal with him. On the other side, when the two of them appeared again, they were already on a swampy land. To Wei Chang, it was the same no matter where he was, because the result would not be different. Right now, there was only one thing that he had to do, and that was to kill the black-robed man in front of him. Only then would he be able to slightly wash away this bad record. The place you chose is not bad, the black-robed man said faintly. He slowly descended and stepped onto the congealed earth. However, upon closer inspection, he did not step onto the congealed earth at all, and was merely floating. Wei Chang asked faintly, "Who are you?" "Me? I am just a bored wanderer. Wherever there is liveliness, I will go there," the black-robed man said lightly, as if he was toying with Wei Chang. "Then your final destination will end here," Wei Chang said faintly. "This kind of humiliation can only be washed away with blood. There is no mercy to speak of." The black-robed man laughed lightly. Why are you guys so confident? Are you so sure that I will die here? Or could it be that you are the same as that fellow just now, speaking without using your brain? The black-robed man said faintly, fiercely refuting Wei Chang, and even said that Wei Chang spoke without using his brain. It had already been a long time since Wei Chang was insulted like this, and anger suddenly appeared in his heart. He was in a bad mood. All along, I only bullied others. When has there ever been a reason for me to be bullied by others? I have always spoken with my strength. Wei Chang said gravely, then slowly raised both of his arms. Wei Chang's arms could be seen changing at a speed that was visible to the naked eye, and in a blink of an eye, they changed into two long and thick monsters. Rows of spotlessly white and sharp teeth with mucus could be seen, and when the teeth landed on the ground, green smoke could be seen. The saliva had corrosive properties. The black-robed man slightly turned his head and said unhurriedly, "So, you are not a human." Whether I am a human or not, this is not important. What is important is, just when Wei Chang finished speaking, the monster with two arms directly attacked towards the black-robed man. The black-robed man immediately leaped backwards. Boom! A huge crater could be seen on the ground where the black-robed man was standing, and his gaze seemed to be calm, and there was no panic. Gee! Over 100 monsters sprung out from the dust that filled the sky, but they were much smaller than those monsters just now. The black-robed man's expression slightly changed. Looking from far away, it looked as if countless snakes were sprayed out, and the snakes attacked towards the figure in the sky, and the snakes even formed a huge net. You indeed have the strength to do so, the black-robed man said faintly, no longer hiding his strength, and went all out. Chapter 1131. The black-clothed man's pupils suddenly congealed, and a cold killing intent was released in the air, causing people to feel a chill in their hearts. The dou-qi in the world gathered from all directions, forming a terrifying current, and the black-clothed man's entire body shone with a red light, making him look like a world-destroying demon god. This kind of aura directly caused the sky to change. The deafening sound of thunder rang out, piercing through the world, just like the end of the world. Wei Chang's gaze became strange. This person's ability is indeed out of my expectations. Being able to insta-kill LV Liang is indeed not a problem. But, gather! Wei Chang shouted angrily. The hundreds of pythons could be seen gathering once again, and actually fusing together, transforming into a giant python. However, different from other giant pythons, it only had a huge mouth, and those rows of sharp teeth that carried a fishy smell in its mouth. The black-clothed man's strength was completely displayed. Looking at the pythons that were surging towards him, the black-clothed man actually chose to not move. This made Wei Chang a bit puzzled, but he didn't take it to heart. Roar! The python's huge mouth closed, and the entire world seemed to have trembled for a bit. With such a bite, I reckoned that even the sky would be torn apart. Formidable, the black-clothed man said gravely. Wei Chang wasn't too surprised. This kind of opponent might be the strongest that I have ever seen. Of course, excluding Nan Wuqi from before, this person's strength. I'm afraid that the difference isn't too big. The black-clothed man could be seen doing a split. With both of his legs resisting the python's pressure, he crossed his arms and looked at Wei Chang, appearing to be very relaxed. Wei Chang laughed lowly. You are indeed a bit stronger than what I imagined. Just a bit? Just a bit. However, the black-clothed man's expression froze. He felt that the python's mouth seemed to be, without any time to think, the black-clothed man chose to dodge. Boom! A black light could be seen spurting out from the python's mouth, giving off a very sticky feeling, just like a black menstruation. However, the aura and pressure that it emitted made people feel fear. The battle between the two seemed to have caused the sky to change. The entire sky changed from night to light purple. It gave people a very bad feeling, as if it was foretelling death. The black-clothed man appeared at the side, turned his head and looked at his shoulder, only to see that a piece of the black clothes on his shoulder was missing, and there was even a black flame on his shoulder. He raised his head slightly and looked at Wei Chang. The man in black seemed to be angry. I immediately tore off the cloth on my shoulder. I am very clear that this black object is corrosive. Wei Chang retracted his hands and turned them into human hands. You are the first person that is able to injure me, no monster. The black-clothed man said lightly, and the evil aura that was emitting from his body was still rising. The swamp began to boil, and countless creatures were cooked. The entire sky became even more purple, and thick bolts of lightning pierced through the clouds, creating a strange scene. Wei Chang said indifferently, "No, I will kill you later. Don't boast too early. Otherwise, you'll end up like that brat." With that, the black-clothed man disappeared into the void. Wei Chang frowned slightly and his figure flashed. Boom boom boom. The ground beneath Wei Chang's feet was smashed by a strange force. It was so deep that the bottom could not be seen. Wei Chang's expression turned grave. When did such a powerful person appear in the Kangluo continent? In the entire team, only 7 deadly sins and Nan Wuqi could compete with such a character. As for the other members, just like LV Liang, they were instantly killed. Just as Wei Chang was pondering, a red deviant flame suddenly burst out from the bottomless pit below him. The diameter of this deviant flame had already reached 100 meters. Just like a flame that was spouted out from the ground, the flame shot towards the sky in a cylindrical shape. To be precise, the flame was preparing to devour Wei Chang. The temperature in the surrounding had already risen to the extreme, and the result of the high temperature was burning. Everything below him was ignited with raging flames, and the purple color of the sky was a perfect match for the purple color. Wei Chang understood how terrifying a deviant flame was. After all, his honor had grasped more than 10 different mysteries, and every single deviant flame had its own unique meaning. And this deviant flame in front of him, Wei Chang placed both of his hands on top of each other. Chaos Candle Spirit. At this moment, Wei Chang's arms rapidly expanded, as if they were being charged with energy. A terrifying pressure was emitted out from Wei Chang's body, and strands of black fog slowly flowed out from Wei Chang's body, forming a black net behind Wei Chang. However, this black net was not very orderly. It was like a kind of cell structure that was connected together, and it was currently devouring the Do Qi in the surroundings. Puff! A black essence shot out from Wei Chang's palm. The terrifying energy had already engulfed the surroundings, and the ground was trembling violently. It was as if the ground was unable to withstand such an attack, and was about to shatter into pieces. Cracks formed on the ground, and the ravine was so deep that the bottom couldn't be seen, and it had even started to move. At this moment, one red and one black collided fiercely. At the moment of the collision, the air seemed to have quietened down, and there was even a ringing in one's ears. However, this feeling only lasted for an instant. A terrifying pressure instantly erupted in the air, and the shockwave produced by the collision spread out like blades, and the ground was sliced apart like tofu. The ravine was becoming deeper and deeper, and it was starting to move. It was as if the plates were moving. At Wei Chang's level of strength, destroying the world was a piece of cake. Every single attack from Wei Chang was enough to make the entire Kangluo continent unable to withstand it, and right now, the continent was already showing signs of splitting apart. The air was burning, and the space was collapsing. One could see with the naked eye that cracks had appeared in the air, and it was obvious that the space was already unable to withstand such a collision. This phenomenon appeared in the entire Kangluo continent. The entire southern region could feel the power that was causing the entire world to collapse, and the ground beneath their feet was currently letting out a weak groan. When ordinary people saw this phenomenon, they all knelt down and prayed to the gods for forgiveness. And when those who had strength saw this phenomenon, fear could be seen in their eyes, but also worship could be seen in their eyes. Thinking to themselves, when will I become so powerful? And at the northern region, one could clearly see that the southern sky was suffused with purple light. Right now, Yihua was looking towards the south with his hands behind his back, thinking to himself, what is Wei Chang doing? To be so angry, don't make the entire Kangluo continent disappear. After all, this Kangluo continent isn't as simple as I thought it to be. Yihua, what is this? Qian Yuqing, who was wearing pajamas, slowly walked out. That enchanting figure of hers was something that Yihua was very fond of recently. Yihua slightly narrowed his eyes and said faintly, nothing much. After finished speaking, Yihua moved towards Qian Yuqing's butt. Yihua, Qian Yuqing immediately jumped away. Come here. Yihua said gravely. Qian Yuqing pouted her small mouth. It is clearly an ambiguous atmosphere, and you want to make it seem like you are bullying me? Looking at Qian Yuqing, who was walking over with a wronged expression, Yihua rubbed onto Qian Yuqing's head. It is time to sleep. Qian Yuqing. Chapter 1132. In an inn in Evil Men City, Yi Zizi and the others looked at the purple light in the sky, feeling this extraordinary might. Does this gluttonous monster want to destroy this place? Yi Zizi said calmly. Wei Chang was truly enraged this time. Yi Hong finally understood Uncle Wei's strength. Compared to Uncle Wei, she was simply a piece of trash. Now Kai Yun had lost his former childishness and had become serious. Because for Wei Chang to treat him like this, the black-clothed man just now probably had a corresponding strength. But for something like this to happen, it was really hard to accept. Kai Yun's thoughts were also Brett's and Moonlight's thoughts. This time, they had encountered a tough obstacle. Qing Yutong let out a deep breath. Originally, I only came out to play around, but I actually played around with such a thing. Wei Chang had actually caused such a huge commotion, and the other party's strength. It had been so many years. This is the first time I've seen it. Within a dilapidated temple, Lai Gu and Do Fusher raised their heads and looked towards the horizon. Big brother, what's going on? Do Fusher swallowed his saliva. This aura felt like Uncle Wei. Lai Gu let out a deep sigh. Seems like Wei Chang met with a very powerful person. Do Fusher was confused. Powerful people? With so many experts in the team, was there even a need for Uncle Wei to make a move? The others would be able to handle it. How powerful? Do Fusher asked weakly. Lai Gu looked at Do Fusher and said coldly, I can kill you with a single finger. Ah. Seeing the coldness emitted from Lai Gu's gaze, Do Fusher's heart immediately became heavy. Lai Gu's mood recently wasn't very good, and it was all because of this fatty Qing Su. He had wasted all his time here. He really wanted to see what had happened to Wei Chang. At this moment, Qing Su put down the pig trotter in his hand and put his palms together. Revenge breeds revenge. Let's shake hands, we're good friends. After hearing that, Lai Gu immediately clenched his fists. Big brother, calm down. Calm down. Don't be rash. Don't stop me. I will kill him today. Just a piece of trash who only knows how to eat, drink, and poop all day long. Furthermore, he still has that sanctimonious look on his face. I feel disgusted just by looking at him. Lai Gu already couldn't take it anymore. What's the point of keeping this kind of trash in the team? Eat shit. Do Fusher immediately hugged onto Lai Gu's thigh. Big brother, you really have to calm down, you can't kill him. Motherf asterisk cur. This is trash. Qing Su exhaled slowly and said, Benefactor, if you want to kill me, I will not fight back. Let me return to the embrace of Buddha. Look at him. If I don't kill him, the heavens will not tolerate it. Lai Gu's mental state had already been tortured to the extreme by Qing Su. At this moment, his face was flushed red, and he was on the verge of going berserk. Fortunately, Fusher was at the side persuading Lai Gu, allowing Lai Gu to regain a trace of clarity. Otherwise, if he really slapped Qing Su to death, he would really return to the embrace of Buddha. God said, if I don't enter hell, who will? Benefactor, do it. Motherf asterisk cur. This is what the Buddha said, you idiot. Qing Su smiled and said, It's the same. Motherf asterisk cur. Lai Gu shouted out, then fiercely stomped onto the ground. This dilapidated temple was originally located at the top of the mountain, and when Lai Gu stomped down, zzz, cracks instantly appeared on the ground, spreading in all directions. Even the walls of the dilapidated temple began to crack. Big brother, you destroyed the mountain. So be it. I really want to F asterisk king trample him to death. Lai Gu pointed at Qing Su and cursed. However, when Qing Su looked at the dilapidated temple that was on the verge of collapse, a dazed expression appeared on his face. That plump face of his was trembling. The pig trotter that was in his hand fell onto the ground, and his pair of tiny eyes became strange. Lai Gu did not notice Qing Su's strange expression and shouted out, Carry this idiot away, don't get squashed to death. Right after Lai Gu finished speaking, he felt a huge power coming from his back, and his entire body was sent flying. Fusher tightly clenched his fists, and his pair of eyes turned dark purple. His entire person looked just like a puppet. However, right now the sky was already filled with boundless purple light. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. Right now, the red deviant flame was still clashing with Wei Chang's black light. The surrounding ground was completely unable to withstand the pressure, and turned into a huge abyss. And the terrifying pressure was even contending with the sky. Thunder. Suddenly, an explosion rang out in the air. This was the voice of the black-robed man. The deviant flame that was spat out actually carried the attribute of lightning. Crackling sounds could be heard as it revolved around the deviant flame. It seemed like it was going to counterattack. Wei Chang slightly furrowed his brows. He was quite shocked by the current situation. This person actually still has the strength to counterattack. This is a bit surprising. Heaven essence. Another explosion rang out, and it reverberated throughout the world. The color of the deviant flame actually changed. From red it turned white. Wei Chang's expression instantly became serious. How is this possible? How can the color of a deviant flame change? Even his honor's color never changed. White flames bearing sky. The black-robed man shouted angrily. The entire ground suddenly stopped shaking, and everything became calm. However, this calm was the calm before the storm. Boom. In the Sea of Innocence, a seemingly endless chasm appeared, running through the north and south, and surging seawater gushed into the chasm. The sea level of the Sea of Innocence dropped rapidly, and the tremors even caused tsunamis. Even in Water City, there were earthquakes at the bottom of the sea and volcanic eruptions. At this moment, the entire Kangluo continent was suffering from all kinds of natural disasters. Ordinary people couldn't even survive. The black-robed man's strength had already exceeded Wei Chang's expectations. The terrifying white flames and lightning instantly engulfed Wei Chang's body, straight into the heavens. The entire sky was replaced by white light. It was so dazzling, so terrifying. However, at this moment, in the city of the wicked, a chasm separated the city. This chasm even extended into the distance. The entire city of the wicked was filled with an aura of death and anguished wails. The people living in the coastal areas suffered the most. This time, the tsunami was different from the previous one. This time it was a full-scale tsunami. The tsunami was as long as the Sea of Innocence was. This time, even the north wasn't spared. The entire Kangluo continent was currently immersed in the fear of death. When the people saw this phenomenon, they could only kneel down and beg for mercy. However, the merciless disaster still struck mercilessly. Compared to the north of the Kangluo continent, the south suffered even more severe damage. If in the past, Nan Nan's face was a handsome face, then right now, that face was filled with countless cracks. The two people who were engrossed in the battle probably didn't expect this kind of outcome. A black figure floated in the air. His face looked slightly tired, but he gave off the impression that he could still fight. Chapter 1133. Oh, not dead yet. The black-clothed man said faintly, but his eyes were filled with surprise. How powerful was Wei Chang? As one of the 7 sins, destroying the world was nothing difficult, and just now, he even used the strength of his body to forcefully resist the attack. But the current Wei Chang, under this attack, revealed his true form. The huge head did not have any facial features, only a terrifying big mouth with a row of fangs that looked eerie and terrifying, as if it could devour everything in the world. Countless tiny tentacles supported the huge head, and at the bottom of the tentacles, there were tiny heads that let out tiny screeches. The black-clothed man was very astonished from that pair of eyes. It could be seen that this kind of monster. Just what the hell is this? He remembered that before Wei Chang had also revealed his true form, but that was only for fun. But this time was different. He was forced to reveal his true form. There was a difference between the two. For this black-clothed man to be able to force Wei Chang to reveal his true form, this was already a kind of achievement. Even if he died, that was also a symbol of glory. You are actually completely unharmed. The black-clothed man felt that it was inconceivable. This monster was indeed very strong, but under my attack, he actually only revealed his true form. How is this possible? This is illogical, Wei Chang said coldly. To be able to force my true form out, you can already be considered as a character. The big black net behind Wei Chang slowly merged into Wei Chang's body, and waves of surging power were continuously being transferred into Wei Chang's body. Feeling this wave of pure power, Wei Chang's body also gradually became bigger. The current Wei Chang caused the black-clothed man to feel fear. This fear came from the bottom of his heart. When all of the power was absorbed, Wei Chang's body already reached 3,000 meters. Those tiny tentacles were no longer tiny. The heads at the bottom of the tentacles were fiercely biting the ground. If Tang Wei saw Wei Chang like this, she would definitely faint from fright. The handsome Uncle Wei actually had such a terrifying side to him. Just what kind of monster are you? The black-clothed man stabilized his temperament and asked gravely. Wei Chang said indifferently, read more books, and you will know. In your next life, remember. Arrogant. In this world, you can't win just by being big. The black-clothed man's face sunk, and he quickly formed seals with his hands. At the same time that he formed the seals, a surging and terrifying pressure pressed towards Wei Chang. But Wei Chang did not react at all. Demon Slayer Violet Flame. The black-clothed man suddenly put his palms together, emitting an earth-shattering sound. The purple light in the sky slowly descended. This was a god-destroying aura, and the savage pressure once again crushed the ground. Wei Chang's huge body resisted the pressure from the sky. This was also something that the black-clothed man had long prepared. Ever since he knew that Wei Chang was a monster, he had been preparing for this. This was also a precaution. He had originally thought that it was unnecessary. But from the looks of it now, it wasn't unnecessary. Fortunately, he had kept such a card up his sleeve. Purple light gathered layer upon layer, tens of thousands of illusions, vast like the waves of the sea. There was even a suffocating terror mixed within. Landslides and tsunamis. It was just like the scene of Doomsday. Wei Chang's huge body stood between the heavens and earth, not moving at all. What are you laughing at? Wei Chang asked softly. You think you can win? The man in black didn't feel very good. Originally, I wanted to fight with you with my normal body, but from the looks of it now, forget it, I'm not going to pretend anymore. The difference between me and you. Before Wei Chang could finish his sentence, the tentacle below his head suddenly turned upwards. It opened up its huge mouth. At this moment, the purple light wasn't something that could destroy the heavens and earth. It was more like a child that couldn't be defeated. Even if it wanted to run away, it couldn't. All of it was absorbed by Wei Chang. This chi of heaven and earth is indeed excellent. Yihua stretched out his two tongues and lightly licked his sharp teeth. He felt that his entire body was filled with strength. The black-clothed man looked at Wei Chang and suddenly laughed out loud. Good, good, good. The three good immediately caused a commotion. That straightforward voice made it seem as if he, the black-clothed man, had won the battle. Say it. How do you want to die? Wei Chang asked gravely. It was also the first time that he used it to become so huge. Firstly, the opportunity was hard to come by, and I wanted to test it out. Secondly, to intimidate the opponent. After all, LV Liang had lost face, and as the big brother, I still have to regain face. The black-clothed man didn't choose to run away. He actually tore off his black mask, revealing an extremely ordinary face, but in the middle of his eyebrows, there was a black mark in the shape of a W. To be able to fight with such a strong opponent today, I will also die a worthy death. Happy. Delightful. The black-clothed man hammered his chest and shouted. From the depths of his eyes, one could indeed feel that he was truly happy. Wei Chang looked at the man in front of him with doubt. Very few people would be able to face things so calmly. And he was actually able to do so. How do you want to die? Wei Chang asked coldly. Today, this person is definitely going to die. The black-clothed man licked his dry lips. There are many ways to die. Are you able to grant me that kind of way to die? One of Wei Chang's tentacles could be seen slowly flying towards the black-clothed man. In front of the black-clothed man, that creepy head seemed to be incomparably huge, and the mucus on the teeth also made one feel disgusted. The winner is the king, the loser is the bandit. The black-clothed man seemed to have accepted his fate as he slowly closed his eyes. There was basically no sign of struggling at all. In front of such a strong opponent, struggling was useless. Wei Chang naturally wouldn't let the black-clothed man off. Without any hesitation, he swallowed the black-clothed man. However, after swallowing the black-clothed man, Wei Chang heard the black-clothed man's dying words. "I'm finally free." This caused Wei Chang to be puzzled. Free? To him, death is a release? Was he begging for death just now? Shouldn't he be begging for death when facing a strong opponent? Wei Chang suddenly thought of something. His expression changed greatly, and that tentacle immediately began wriggling, as if it was vomiting. That's right, Wei Chang is going to vomit this person out. However, right at this moment, Wei Chang felt as if his brain was being struck by an electric drill. This kind of pain was something that even Wei Chang was unable to endure, and his enormous body actually collapsed onto the ground, bringing up a huge amount of dust. And on Wei Chang's head, a mark similarly appeared. The purple light in the sky had already disappeared, and the darkness enveloped the earth once again, as if nothing had happened. Right now, the dilapidated temple had already collapsed, and a part of the mountain had also shattered. Dou Fusher could be seen carrying Qing Su's enormous body, while Qing Su was looking at his dilapidated temple blankly. Qing Su's expression was already extremely sinister. Just a moment ago, Lai Gu was sneak attacked by Dou Fusher, and after smashing through a few mountains, Lai Gu immediately turned back. To Lai Gu, this kind of collision was basically nothing. To be more precise, Dou Fusher's attack was nothing to Lai Gu. Dou Fusher. Lai Gu pointed at Dou Fusher and shouted out. Chapter 1134. Choking with sobs. Novel. However, when Lai Gu saw Dou Fusher's eyes, he suddenly thought of something. In the past, Qing Su had also used this technique to control humans. This could be seen from Dou Fusher's eyes. You. Lai Gu pointed at Qing Su and asked gravely. Lowly human. You actually dare to destroy my sacred ground. Qing Su suddenly looked towards Lai Gu, and his tone was filled with dense killing intent. Lai Gu hurriedly explained. It's me, Lai Gu. Don't you recognize me? Buddha will never forgive you. Lai Gu cursed in a low voice. Are you crazy? Even if you're sick, can't you cure yourself? Thinking to hear, Lai Gu suddenly sobered up. This Qing Su. He was indeed sick. This guy must have used him as an experiment, and in the end, he couldn't come back. This idiot. That must be it. Damn it. Qing Su said coldly. Lai Gu slowly retreated. This Qing Su is a rather special existence in the entire team. No one wanted to fight with Qing Su, because he only knew how to use sneak attacks. What was the point of fighting with him? Was there something wrong with him? Qing Su. Your Honor. Could it be that you don't even want to listen to His Honor's words? Lai Gu shouted out explosively, hoping to make Qing Su calm down. His Honor, my ass, go and die. Qing Su didn't recognize anyone at all. Lai Gu hated this kind of situation the most, because this Qing Su only knows how to shout, and doesn't know how to make a move. It seems like he can shout someone to death. If it was someone else, Lai Gu might not believe it. However, this was Qing Su. Therefore, Lai Gu instantly disappeared from his original spot and ran away. However, Qing Su didn't chase after Qing Su. Instead, he looked at his broken-down temple and went into a daze. Also, Dou Fusher, who was being ridden, was also the same. Lai Gu naturally ran back to Voidless Empire. I must definitely report this matter to His Honor. That idiot Qing Su had played himself into a corner. In the past, he often played like this. This time he would definitely play bigger. With Qing Su's strength, no one would be able to get close to him. Lai Gu hurriedly ran towards His Honor's bedroom. It's extremely urgent. However, Lai Gu, who was in the midst of running, suddenly stopped for a bit. His entire body trembled for a bit, and then fell onto the stairs. Lai Gu held onto his chest, feeling very uncomfortable. As if, I'm going to reveal my true form. I must have definitely been poisoned just now. That damn Qing Su, every time I fight with him, he would always use this poison. Are you King sick? Lai Gu wanted to use teleportation, but his entire body froze. looking towards his honor's wife's bedroom. I can't transform here. If not his honor. Your honor, save me. Lai Gu shouted out in his heart. Right now, I don't even need to use sound transmission anymore. Just now, I shouldn't have run straight back here. I should have run to another place and see if I am poisoned or not. Lai Gu's hands had already transformed into dragon claws, and the sturdy ground was like tofu being scratched apart. Lai Gu was no longer able to control the aura within his body. Roar. A dragon roar resounded throughout the entire Wushu Empire. Right now, Yihua was currently ravishing Qian Yuqing, who was beneath him. But when he heard that dragon roar, Yihua's expression changed greatly. This was the sound of Lai Gu wailing in grief. Yihua instantly disappeared from Qian Yuqing's stomach. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji naturally sensed it as well. This surging aura actually appeared within the imperial palace. Qingye's body immediately disappeared from the bed. Of course, when Zhu Tian, who was currently doing an experiment, heard Lai Gu's scream, he immediately stopped what he was doing. Yi Juetian and Gong Yu also sensed it and hurriedly ran over. Right after Yihua appeared, people started appearing beside him one after another. Looking at Lai Gu, who was lying on the ground, the dragon claws on his hands had already appeared. There was only one word in Yihua's mind. It's over. Zhu Tian's head was also starting to feel dizzy. This Lai Gu seems to have been poisoned. Wasn't he at Qing Su's side watching over Lai Gu? Why did he get poisoned? Could it be Qing Su? Lai Gu, what happened to you? Qingye hurriedly walked forward. Yihua shouted out gravely, "Come back." A green light immediately shot out from Lai Gu's hands. God bless me. It's best if I can suppress it. Donghuang Baiji looked at Lai Gu, who was in pain, and especially that pair of bone claws. Donghuang Baiji tightly wrinkled her brows. Your honor, I can't hold on anymore. After Lai Gu finished his last sentence, his entire body began distorting. Roar. A dragon roar once again erupted out from Lai Gu's throat, and his entire body immediately revealed his original form. A gigantic bone dragon appeared in front of everyone's eyes. At this moment, Qian Yuqing rushed over and covered her small mouth. It's you? Donghuang Baiji said coldly. Of course, Donghuang Baiji still remembered what happened back then. A bone dragon and a black mist figure. They joined hands with Ying family to attack Voidless Realm. How many people from Voidless Realm were killed by them? Furthermore, I even got injured by them. I won't forget about it in my entire life. However, today, this bone dragon actually appeared in front of me. What was even more unbelievable was that it was actually Lai Gu. Yi Juetian and Gong Yu looked at Lai Gu blankly. This is actually an undead dragon. Oh my god. It is actually Big Brother's subordinate. Right now, Gong Yu was truly rejoicing. This is what it means to be strong. Right now Zhu Tian no longer had any thoughts. The matter has already been exposed, and now, it all depends on how his honor is going to coax his wife. However, this matter is not something that can be solved by coaxing. Back then, that was a real massacre. Both Voidless Realm and Ying family's people died. Back then, your wife loved her people as if they were her own children. Right now, knowing that the man she loved the most sent people to kill her own people just to put on a show. Your honor, this time, you are really dead. Right now Yihua could already feel it. Although Yihua didn't turn his head around to look at Donghuang Baiji, he could still guess that Donghuang Baiji was looking at him with a questioning gaze. Even Qingye was looking at him with a look of disbelief on her face. Lai Gu, who was flying in the air, slowly landed on the ground. This type of poison is actually a poison that takes the form of a poison, and by itself, it doesn't cause any harm. However, there is no antidote for this poison, which means that the poison will remain the same. Lai Gu lied down and leaned against the wall with a wronged expression. Your honor, I also didn't know that I would be poisoned. If I knew that I would be poisoned, I definitely wouldn't have come back. Yihua was a bit afraid to look at Donghuang Baiji. When his lie was exposed, what was left behind was only pain. However, he had no choice but to face it. Yihua took a deep breath, then slowly turned his body around and looked towards Donghuang Baiji. Right now, Donghuang Baiji's complexion had become pale, and her complexion had lost its usual color. However, Donghuang Baiji's hand was mercilessly slapped away by Donghuang Baiji. Don't touch me. Yi Juetian and Gong Yu didn't know that their sister-in-law would become like this, and even Qian Yuqing had a puzzled look on her face. Could it be that it is because of the appearance of the undead? Baiji, listen to my explanation. Yi Hua said hurriedly. However, what he said was also a disguised admission. Baidu search 881 Chinese website yen. No advertisement. Chapter 1135. Donghuang Baiji looked at Yi Hua blankly, and 2 streams of tears flowed down along her cheeks. I don't want to see you. After finished speaking, Donghuang Baiji disappeared from the spot. After hearing that, Yi Hua slowly closed his eyes and lowered his hands. I knew this matter couldn't be covered up. They would find out sooner or later, but it had already been a few years. Furthermore, you are still so angry. Back then, didn't I do it for you all? If not, why would I do all those things? Yi Hua then looked towards Qingya, seemingly saying, Qingya, you are the most sensible one, can you understand me? Yi Hua, you really disappoint me. Qingya said gravely, then disappeared from the spot as well. I knew that Yi Hua would do things by hook or by crook, but I didn't expect that. He would even kill his own people. Qian Yuqing, who was at the side, was confused. What was going on? Why did Qingya and Donghuang Baiji become like this? Yi Hua gave Qian Yuqing a meaningful glance. Qian Yuqing understood what Yi Hua meant and disappeared from where she was. Qian Yuqing went to stabilize Qingya and Donghuang Baiji. Your Honor. Zhu Tian greeted respectfully. Yi Hua stretched out his hand and signaled for him to stop talking. Go back and continue your research. Yi Hua said gravely. Recently, unlucky things have been appearing one after another, and they completely did not allow me to be in a good mood at all. Having no other choice, Absolute Heaven could only nod his head and retreat. Big brother. You all can go back and rest. Yi Hua said faintly. Very vexed. Not just a normal kind of vexed. Gong Yu tugged on the corner of Yi Juetian's clothes. Your big brother is currently in a very violent mood, so don't provoke him. Of course Yi Juetian knew. Then I'll go back and rest first. If big brother has any instructions, just call me. Yi Hua waved his hand, and Yi Juetian and Gong Yu left. In an instant, only Yi Hua was left at the scene. Looking at Lai Gu, who was shivering at the side, Yi Hua walked over and questioned gravely, What's going on? Your Honor, I have been poisoned by Qing Su. Lai Gu was very apologetic. Just now it was all my mistake, allowing the 2 madams to know about the scam back then in advance. Qing Su's poison? Isn't he an idiot? Yi Hua was very puzzled. Lai Gu's enormous body moved a bit, and accidentally caused the surrounding wall to collapse. Right now, Lai Gu felt as if he was squatting like a puppy. A bone dragon squatting like this was very comical. Your Honor, I came back in a hurry to report this matter. That's why I forgot that I was poisoned. Start from the beginning and focus on the main points. Lai Gu told Yi Hua about his conjecture in full detail, and after Yi Hua listened to it, he cursed out loudly, Idiot! Because Lai Gu's conjecture wasn't without reason. That idiot always liked to experiment on his own. He didn't know what he was playing with this time, but he had messed himself up. But what was undeniable was that Qing Su's strength had returned, and he was able to control Great Floating World. This was even more troublesome. Your Honor, it is subordinates' dereliction of duty to let your wives know about what happened back then. Lai Gu said apologetically. He truly felt very apologetic. Yi Hua let out a light sigh. Forget about this matter, they will find out about it sooner or later. It's just that it is brought forward. Then, Your Honor, let's go and capture Qing Su together. If I don't have the antidote, I will continue to maintain my current appearance. Right now Lai Gu was already not used to being in his real body. How good is it to be a human? I can have sex with my wife every night. But now that he had become like this, how could he slap? He didn't even have tools. Lai Gu lowered his head and took a look. This tool seems to be here, but the size is not suitable. Yi Hua had no choice. This Qing Su problem still has to be solved. After all, I have already kidnapped Great Floating World. Now that Great Floating World knows how to use poison, it is only a matter of time before Great Floating World's memory recovers. Yi Hua and Lai Gu immediately disappeared from the spot and arrived at the sky above the dilapidated temple. A huge bone dragon was flapping its wings in the sky, while Yi Hua was standing on top of Lai Gu's head and looking down at the entire ground. Your Honor, he seems to have run away, Lai Gu said angrily. Yi Hua hurriedly searched for Qing Su's aura, and his brows slightly wrinkled. This idiot actually erased his aura. Then, I will use Great Floating World's aura. The result is still the same. My two subordinates have run away. Your Honor. Don't speak, I am very annoyed right now, Yi Hua said coldly while holding onto his forehead. Qing Su was here to save my mother. But now he disappeared. Where am I supposed to find him? I can't find him at all. Bastard. And he even kidnapped Great Floating World. This Qing Su's guts are truly getting bigger and bigger. Your Honor, how about we call Wei Chang back? Lai Gu suggested. One more person, one more head. Yi Hua felt that Lai Gu's suggestion was not bad. Wei Chang's brain is still useful. Hurry up and contact Wei Chang. However, an unimaginable thing happened immediately. I can't contact him anymore. This caused Yi Hua's gaze to become ice cold. Sense Wei Chang's aura. He disappeared as well. Didn't that fellow fight just now? Could it be that he lost the fight? He was exterminated. How is this possible? I know of Wei Chang's strength, and only I am able to defeat Wei Chang. Who else is able to defeat Wei Chang? With so many unforeseen events happening in a single night, Yi Hua was already extremely annoyed. The whereabouts of two of the 7 sins are unknown, and one of them is Wei Chang, and that idiot Qing Su. There is also that idiot Do Floating World. There is also that poison Lai Gu. My secret was discovered by my wife as well. My mother's illness, my little brother's matter. Why did so many troubles appear all of a sudden? I no longer want to use my brain to solve these problems. Seems like sometimes, I still have to rely on force to solve problems. Wei Chang disappeared. What? Your Honor, why did Wei Chang disappear? Lai Gu cried out in shock. There is definitely no problem with Wei Chang's loyalty. Could it be that Wei Chang was exterminated during the fight just now? How is this possible? Yi Hua didn't explain much and directly brought Lai Gu to the scene of the incident. The scene of the incident could be said to be a huge empty crater, and the smell of scorched earth pervaded the air. And on the ground, there was a huge and abnormal crater. Lai Gu hovered in the air and looked at the imprint. Your Honor, this seems to be Wei Chang's original form. Yes, Wei Chang was actually forced to reveal his original form, Yi Hua said gravely, and he couldn't sense any aura of life in the surroundings at all. Lai Gu was very shocked. This age, there is still someone who is able to force Wei Chang's original form out? This is completely impossible. Who has such great ability? Your Honor, what should we do now? Lai Gu asked worriedly. Yi Hua took a deep breath, then took out a stick of cigarette and placed it in his mouth. Gather everyone. Yi Hua contacted Qing Yutang and even all of his subordinates. The current situation had become very strange. Yi Hua felt that there was someone who was targeting him. I felt it when my mother was poisoned. That idiot emperor has such great ability? No, that's in existence. There is someone else. Very quickly, Qing Yutang and the others received Yi Hua's order, and all of them disappeared from the tavern in the Evil Man City. Only Yang Haotian and Ren Yao were still in the tavern. After all, the two of them weren't members of the group, and didn't have the qualifications to participate in this kind of meeting. End of this chapter. Chapter 1136. Subordinate pays respect to your honor. 10,000 blessings equal to heaven. The subordinates knelt down and shouted out. Qing Yutang stood behind Yi Hua. No matter what, she is still a wife. There is no need for her to salute. Everyone get up. Yi Hua said gravely. Everyone looked at Lai Gu, who was at the side, and felt very confused. Why did he come out with his real body? Is he trying to show off? Is he trying to show off? Especially Lai Gu's 4 wives. They were all confused. With Lai Gu's current appearance, I can only ride him. Right now, Lai Gu felt extremely awkward. However, everyone discovered that there seemed to be a few people missing. Where did Wei Chang and Do Fushi go? Li Hun looked around in confusion. Where did my little Dofusher go? Tang Wei was the same as well. Where did Uncle Wei go? Yihua took a glance at the surroundings and said gravely, "Tonight, a lot of things happened. I want to know why Wei Chang suddenly got into a fight for no reason. Tang Wei, you tell him." Tang Wei had a bad premonition and walked out of the group. "Reporting to your honor, tonight's matter is like this." Tang Wei recounted everything that had happened in full detail. Yihua finally understood. So it was because of gold. That black-clothed man is not simple. He was actually able to instantly kill LV Liang. But he didn't directly kill LV Liang. The feeling he gave off was a bit like a plot. "Your honor, subordinate is incompetent. Your honor, please punish me." LV Liang immediately knelt down and admitted her mistake. For something like this to happen, it is such a loss of face. I have thrown his honor's face all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Right now, Yihua didn't even have the mood to care about such a matter. There are a few things that I need to say. Seeing that his honor's expression was so bad, everyone didn't dare to say anything. Dofusher was kidnapped by Qing Su. He has already disappeared. Yihua said the first thing that he wanted to say. Li Hun, who was in the group, went into a daze and immediately fainted. Zishan, who was at the side, hurriedly held on to Li Hun. Li Hun also heard about Qing Su's matter. "That fellow used me as an experiment. If Dofusher was kidnapped, I will definitely be used as a guinea pig. I will become a widow." Li Hun felt heartache. "If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have bullied little Dofusher. Little Dofusher is so cute and loves me so much." Yihua let out a breath and continued. Lai Gu was inflicted with Qing Su's poison, and for the time being, he is unable to regain his human form. Yi Zizi said vigilantly, "Your honor, since Lai Gu is unable to revert back to his human form, it's best for him not to return back to Lai Gu's human form, in case your wife sees him." "It's too late," Yihua said faintly. The expressions of Lai Gu's subordinates sunk, and they immediately looked towards Lai Gu. "How can you be so careless? Your wife actually saw it." Lai Gu felt very ashamed, and his huge dragon had looked towards the side where there was no one. "One more thing. Wei Chang has gone missing," Yihua said coldly. Wei Chang's matter could be said to be a big matter. Right now there is no corpse of Wei Chang. He should not be dead, but he is missing. Everyone took a deep breath. Meanwhile, Tang Wei also immediately fainted. The powerful Uncle Wei actually went missing. Why is it like this? In just one night, 2 of the 7 deadly sins went missing. To the entire team, that was a grievous news. Qing Yutong didn't expect that such a thing would happen, and right now, she was completely clueless about what to do. Furthermore, brother-in-law's evil deeds were also discovered by Big Sister. Misfortunes never come alone. Misfortunes never come alone. I now announce. Activate Level 1 alert. Everyone's mission will be cancelled. Go back and discuss how to deal with the situation. Right now, Yihua couldn't care less about the gold and the legendary weapon. Wei Chang and Qing Su must be found. Especially Wei Chang. Just what exactly happened to him? "Brother-in-law, this time I came out to find a person." Qing Yutong, who was standing at the side, said lightly. Yihua asked faintly, "Who?" "A guardian." Hearing that, Yihua's brows wrinkled, then said, "Bring him back." "And that Big Sister and Big Sister Baiji, how are they now?" Qing Yutong asked concernedly. Yihua let out a sigh. If Qingya and Donghuang Baiji were as sensible as Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing, I would be able to relax a bit. Right after he finished thinking, Qian Yuqing's voice rang out in his mind. "Yihua, quickly come back. Qingya and Baiji are going to run away from home." Yihua, running away from home again? Can't these 2 women change to something else? Why do they keep running away from home every single time? How old are they already? Can't they be a bit less childish and a bit more mature? I am truly convinced. Yihua immediately disappeared into the void. And right now, Qing Yutong's subordinates could only return back to the inn and prepare to think of a way to deal with the unknown evil power. However, Qing Yutong still had to make a trip back to the inn and bring Renyao back. After all, brother-in-law needed to know about the news of the guardian. Back at the inn. "Big sister, why did you come back by yourself? Where are the other big sisters?" Yang Haoyan hurriedly asked. The main thing he wanted to ask was where Yi Zizi went. Where did my red packet go? Right now, Qin Yutong didn't have the mood to talk about anything else. She looked towards Ren Yao and said, "Let's go." Ren Yao had no other choice but to obediently listen to Qin Yutong. "What about me, big sister, what about me?" Yang Haoyan revealed out a fawning smile. "At the very least, bring me along with me, Yang Haoyan. Big sisters won't be bored. How should I put it, I, Yang Haoyan, am also everyone's happy fruit." Qin Yutong walked in front of Yang Haoyan and patted onto Yang Haoyan's shoulder. "Take care of yourself in the future, after all, everything isn't easy." "Big sister, don't scare me, we have all walked together." Yang Haoyan squeezed out a smile. Why did they break up just like that? I didn't have any mental preparation at all. Yang Haoyan, I know what you want, but is it really important? Without the help of the system, are you, Yang Haoyan, just a trash? That's not the case. There are a lot of experts in this world. Could it be that they have some kind of help? Cultivation depends on the individual. Qin Yutong said gravely. I feel that I have become more mature, to the point that I can even use the tone of my brother-in-law to guide others. This is not good news. I, Qin Yutong, will always be 18 years old. I don't want to become a mature old woman. No, after hearing what Qin Yutong said, Yang Haoyan looked at Qin Yutong blankly. He knew that Qin Yutong and Ren Yao had disappeared from his sight. Yang Haoyan sat on the ground blankly. How did she know that I have the system? Mumbled. Big sister, without the system, I am really trash. On the other side, Yihua hurriedly arrived at the bedroom. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji could be seen packing up big and small bags. And while they were packing up, they were crying and even scolding me. With my bad temper, if not for what happened back then, I wouldn't have allowed you two to be so arrogant. That's impossible. What are you all doing? Yihua shouted gravely. He didn't have any attitude of admitting his mistake at all. As if it was Qingye and Donghuang Baiji who did something wrong. Qian Yuqing stood at the side. She seemed to be very hesitant after hearing Baiji's words. End of this chapter. Chapter 1137. I didn't expect that Yihua would actually join hands with another person and kill his wife's people. Afterward, he even descended with a righteous look on his face. Why would Yihua do such a thing? This time, the victim was Donghuang Baiji. When I thought about how Yihua was still pretending to be dead at that time, and how he was definitely laughing at me and Baiji, I fell for his trick. And I was even moved to the point that I was in a complete mess. When she thought of this matter, she felt that she was just like a fool, being toyed with by Yihua. Yihua, back then, when Ying family came to attack my voidless realm, was it your plan? Donghuang Baiji was truly unable to take it anymore as she pointed at Yihua and asked. Yihua knew that he wouldn't be able to hide the truth anymore, thus he said gravely, back then, Ying family wanted to attack Voidless Realm. I'm only letting Lai Gu and Wei Chang go. I'm going to put on a show for you. Qingye shouted out. So everything that happened back then was all fake. Yihua is so powerful. How is it possible for him to be beaten to a pulp by that black mist figure? I clearly felt that everything that happened back then was all fake. But it turned out that everything that happened back then was all fake. Everything was all fake, it was all an act. Right now, Yihua was also angered as he shouted out angrily. Wasn't the reason why I did that for you all? You run away from home so easily, what can I do? Donghuang Baiji suddenly laughed. You are still blaming me and Qingye? Yihua, touch your heart and tell me, how did Qingye and I treat you? When have we ever disobeyed you? Whatever you say, we will listen. We are women. We also need your respect. But you, have you given us any respect? I really didn't expect that you, Yihua, would even want to kill my people. Hearing Donghuang Baiji's words, Yihua felt that seemed to have that kind of meaning. But no matter what, I am still good to you all. I don't want much from you all. I just want you all to be obedient. What's wrong with that? Baiji, that was something that happened a few years ago. I was indeed at fault in this matter, but I also had my own difficulties. Could it be that you are not at fault as well? Yihua shouted out gravely. I, the Supreme Overlord, can take 70% of the blame for that matter, but the two of you should take 30% of the blame as well. If you hadn't run away from home, that wouldn't have happened. You still refuse to admit your mistakes, and after admitting your mistakes, you still refuse to change. Yihua, why are you always like this? Qingye said angrily. After so many years, you really haven't changed at all. You are still so self-centered, it feels like everyone has to revolve around you, right? Yihua's gaze turned cold, and he immediately shouted out angrily. What did I do wrong? This is the decision made by me. It's all for the team. Perhaps it was because he was too agitated. Yihua's anger instantly erupted. Qian Yuqing quickly left to find her mother. Otherwise, things would definitely fall apart. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were not like Qian Yuqing, who had the mindset of an ancient woman. They had the mindset of a modern woman. Yes, you're the boss. We are all your accessories. An item that allowed you to show off your strength. Seeing that Yihua still had the face to throw a tantrum, Donghuang Baiji became even angrier. Donghuang Baiji. Yihua shouted out coldly, then instantly arrived before Donghuang Baiji and raised his palm. Donghuang Baiji was stupefied, and tears flowed down from her eyes. You want to hit me? What did I do wrong? Go ahead and hit me, just beat me to death today. Qingye came back to her senses and immediately pushed Yihua to the side, then hugged onto Donghuang Baiji and consoled. Yihua, are you still a human? We abandoned our lives in the other world to follow you, and this is how you treat us. Yes, I am not a human. Alright then. Scram. Get the F*CK out of here. Yihua's anger rose once again. I am just a skeleton. What's wrong? I shouldn't have been a human back then. Ridiculous to the extreme. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji went into a daze for a moment. Then their expressions became firm. Alright. We will scram. You can forget about seeing the children forever. You dare. I dare you to bring the children around. Yihua's mood during this period of time wasn't very good. Luckily, Qian Yuqing was there to comfort him. However, tonight, Yihua was already extremely agitated. His subordinates going missing and all sorts of problems added together had already formed a huge amount of pressure. However, at this time, when the two women came to anger him again, he was completely unable to control his emotions. Qingye's temper also came. What's wrong, Yihua? I will explain it to you today. We are definitely going to bring the children away. If you have the ability, go ahead and kill us right now. Qingye. Donghuang Baiji. Yihua's expression was already distorted to the extreme. This kind of malevolence was something that Qingye and Donghuang Baiji had never seen before. His pair of tiger eyes were already flickering with red light. To the current Yihua, losing his rationality was an extremely easy thing to do. Looking at Yihua's expression, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji felt incomparably heartache. You are clearly the one who did the wrong thing. Not only did you not admit your mistake, you are even twisting words and forcing logic, and right now, you even want to kill us. Are you even a man? What's wrong? What's wrong? Why did you start quarreling? At this time, Lu Jing's voice rang out from outside the door, and Qian Yuqing walked in while supporting Lu Jing. Hearing his mother's voice, Yihua's expression eased up a bit, but it was evident that he was still extremely angry. On the way here, Lu Jing also heard what Qian Yuqing said. In summary, her son did something bad in the past and hid it from his daughter-in-law. Now that his daughter-in-law found out about it, she got angry. It was just that simple. When Qingye and Donghuang Baiji saw that their mother had arrived, they couldn't control themselves anymore and pounced into Lu Jing's embrace and cried bitterly. Your son is bullying others. We are all parents who already have children. It is unavoidable for us to quarrel with each other. However, don't let it get to your head. Make peace the most important thing. Don't you agree, Yihua? Lu Jing asked while looking at her son. Lu Jing didn't have any intention of blaming Yihua. After all, both sides are at fault, which is why such a misunderstanding was created. Yihua remained silent. You want me, the Supreme Overlord, to admit my mistake? Impossible. Mother, I still have something that I need to deal with. Yihua said gravely, then directly walked out of the bedroom. He didn't even bother to coax his mother. Just looking at her makes me feel annoyed. I, the Supreme Overlord, am already in a bad mood, and you still dare to come and make me feel annoyed. Seeing that Yihua actually left, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji cried even more fiercely. I really want to harden my heart and bring the children back to the bedroom, and no longer care about this overbearing and cold man. If Lu Jing didn't come just now, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji would have gotten to their heads. After all, when a person gets to their head, they wouldn't care about the consequences. I'm sorry, this son of mine, I am unable to teach him properly. It is all my fault as a mother. Lu Jing was embarrassed to say this in front of Yi Hua, but now that Yi Hua had left, she was able to say it. Mother, this has nothing to do with you, it is all Yi Hua's fault. Not only did he not correct his mistakes, he even refused to listen to his mother. Donghuang Baiji said while sobbing. Donghuang Baiji cried, Mother, just now I really couldn't live on anymore. Yi Hua was too ruthless, he killed so many of my people. End of this chapter. Chapter 1138. Lu Jing felt quite helpless and looked at Qian Yuqing. Qian Yuqing did not know how to comfort her either. Actually, Yi Hua has been tortured by me for the past few days, so his mood might not be very good. Don't take what he said to heart, it's all because mother is incompetent. Don't leave. The one who is going to leave is mother. It's mother who has dragged you all down. Lu Jing sighed. They were originally very happy, but it was all because of her that they ended up like this. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji hurriedly said, Mother, no, you can't leave. Sometimes, mother really wants to find a quiet place to quietly wait for the arrival of death. Mother's greatest wish is to see all of you live a good life. Promise me, okay? Give Yi Hua a chance, consider it as giving me, his mother, some face. Stay, Yi Hua needs you all. As expected of a good mother, Lu Jing was able to easily deal with this kind of conflict without any hesitation, causing Qingye and Donghuang Baiji to have nothing to say. How could Qingye and Donghuang Baiji not give him face? Even his mother came to plead for Yi Hua. It could be considered as giving him a way out of this embarrassing situation. However, this matter was definitely not going to end just like that. Yi Hua had to apologize for what had happened back then, and he had to apologize properly. Lu Jing heaved a sigh of relief when she saw that her daughter-in-law was stabilized. Her son had to deal with the matters outside. As a mother, she could only deal with the problem of her son's harem. Big sister. At this time, Qing Yutong walked into the bedroom and shouted out. Seeing that her little sister had arrived, Qingye felt wronged and immediately threw herself into Qing Yutong's embrace and cried bitterly. Yutong, your brother-in-law isn't a good person. Qing Yutong didn't have much feelings towards this matter. Back then, weren't the two of you the ones who were making a fuss about running away from home? Brother-in-law was forced into a corner, so I could only think of a way to make you feel touched. However, with the Ying family's meager strength, how could they pose a threat? That was why they had sent someone over. Since it was a show, it was inevitable that there would be casualties. Brother-in-law is a bit extreme, but in the end, it was you guys who did it. Brother-in-law is willing to play the male lead. That is also his love for you guys. With a man like brother-in-law, it wouldn't be an exaggeration even if he had 10,000 people in his harem right now, but look at the current situation. Only 3 women, I really feel sorry for my brother-in-law. And who is this woman? And who is this beauty? Qing Yutong hadn't seen Lu Jing and Qian Yuqing, and she had already left the house before this. Now he was also very puzzled. You must be Yutong. Lu Jing looked at Qing Yutong and carefully sized her up. From her outer appearance, Qing Yutong seemed to be a good girl, and her temperament was also not bad, and she seemed to be more mature. If Qing Yutong were to know of Lu Jing's evaluation of Qing Yutong, she would definitely act coquettishly. After all, Qing Yutong will always be 18 in this lifetime. There is no such thing as maturity. You are? Qing Yutong asked puzzledly. To be able to appear in brother-in-law's bedroom in the middle of the night, could it be? Is brother-in-law's taste so heavy now? Yutong, this is Yi Hua's mother. Qingye said. Qing Yutong was immediately startled. The thought that I had just now was so scary. Fortunately, I didn't say it out. Mother, I am called Qing Yutong. I am brother-in-law's concubine. Qing Yutong directly walked in front of Lu Jing and tried to curry favor with Lu Jing. Qingye felt that. I have spent so many years in vain, and in the blink of an eye, I went to curry favor with my mother-in-law. Don't you know how bitter your sister is feeling right now? Can't you comfort your sister? Good boy, you look so good. Lu Jing was very happy. My son's eyesight is always so outstanding. Look at this Qing Yutong. She looks rather obedient. Qing Ya's personality is not bad, and this little sister's personality is not too bad either. This was also the first time that Qian Yuqing saw Qing Yutong. The wives that Yihua found are indeed all super beautiful. Lu Jing took the initiative to introduce Qian Yuqing. Yutong, this is Yuqing, Yihua's latest wife. Lu Jing even knows how to tease now. This made Qingya and Donghuang Baiji, who were heartbroken, to laugh. Mother-in-law is truly a bit mischievous. In actuality, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji just couldn't accept the fact that it happened too suddenly, and that's why they started quarreling. After all, too much time had passed. It has already been a few years, and the incident had already faded. Just now, if Yihua had coaxed them a bit, they wouldn't have quarreled so fiercely and wanted to fight and kill each other. After hearing that, Qing Yutong smiled towards Qian Yuqing. Hello, brother-in-law's new wife. Hello, Yihua's concubine. Qian Yuqing stretched out her hand, and the two women shook hands, indicating that they were coexisting peacefully. They even felt that the two women had a lot in common. From the looks of it, from today onwards, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji will be in one group, while Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing will be in the other group. Lu Jing smiled helplessly. All right, the two of you, don't be so talkative, know your limits. Mother is right, Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing said at the same time. After finished speaking, the two of them went into a daze and looked at each other. How did you know that I was going to say this? The two of them said at the same time again. My God. Imitate what I said. Misconception, nonsense, don't be like this. The few of them looked at Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing and said at the same time. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji forgot to be angry. These two treasures, Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing, held onto their forehead at the same time. All right, it's getting late. The two of you should rest early, Lu Jing said gently, then prepared to return to her bedroom to rest. If the mother-in-law wanted to go back, as the daughter-in-law, no matter what, I have to send her off. The four daughters-in-law escorted the mother-in-law to her bedroom. Within the palace hall, Yihua sat on the throne, and below him stood Yi Zizi, Zhu Tian, Brett, and Ren Yao. Right now Yihua didn't have the mood to sleep at all. Just now he had a big fight with his wife. Luckily mother came over, if not, she would definitely beat them to death. To actually dare to fight with me again. You are a guardian? Yihua asked towards Ren Yao. This Baldy looks rather weak. Such a weak person is also a guardian? After all, among the guardians that Yihua met, that Su Jiao and Xing Song were both very strong, but this Baldy is so weak. What Yihua didn't know was that Ren Yao had crushed his strength into a fried egg, which was why his strength was so weak. Ren Yao finally saw the legendary His Honor. Ren Yao only felt that this man is very mysterious. Even the perverted big sister has to stand respectfully in front of this man. From this, it could be seen how terrifying this man is. Thus, I have to answer honestly. That's right, I am a guardian. Then why are you so weak? Yihua asked back. Ren Yao felt a stabbing pain in her heart. This His Honor is stabbing my chest right now. Replying to your honor, an accident happened. Thus I am unable to fully recover my strength. Hearing Ren Yao's explanation, Yihua felt relieved. So that's how it is. Are you the same as other espers? You only remember his name, and nothing else? End of this chapter. Chapter 1139. Yes, what your honor said is correct. Ren Yao replied respectfully. Ren Yao felt that he seemed to know everything. Yihua took a deep breath. These guardians don't know anything, other than their names. What exactly are they guarding? I am very curious right now. However, I will leave Ren Yao behind first. I will take a look at him when the time comes. Go and rest. Yihua said faintly. Ren Yao let out a sigh of relief. This His Honor is rather easy to talk to. He isn't as scary as I imagined him to be. Yes. Ren Yao left respectfully. Only 3 members of the 7 sins remained at the scene. Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up, then began puffing out smoke as he asked faintly, what do you all think about Wei Chang's disappearance? Zhu Tian was not present at the scene. Thus he remained silent. However, even after hearing what Tang Wei said, he was still unable to determine the situation at the scene. Brett was not present at the scene, thus he wasn't able to make a judgment. Only Yi Zizi was left. Your Honor, I feel that this is a conspiracy. Yi Zizi said decisively. Yi Hua asked faintly why. Intuition. Yi Zizi said confidently. Yi Hua knew that it would be like this. Zhu Tian, what do you think about this matter? Your Honor, there are a lot of suspicious points in this matter. Although subordinate was not present at the scene, why would such a powerful black-clothed man exchange for something with the gold in his hands? Zhu Tian raised his doubt. Yi Hua said gravely, the purpose isn't to exchange for something. Zhu Tian mumbled. Could it be to lure them? Yi Hua took a deep breath, then puffed out a mouthful of smoke. If it is to lure them, what is the purpose of it? Also, why would they know about Wei Chang's whereabouts? Or could it be, Wei Chang has long been targeted by them? Yi Hua's questions caused the expressions of the three to darken. If we were targeted long ago, if Wei Chang had been targeted by them long ago, then the strength of the other party must be very strong. And now that Wei Chang has disappeared, I'm afraid that the other party is already dead. Your Honor, the strength of the enemy right now is very strong. I feel that we should take the initiative to attack. We cannot passively defend. Brett's temperament had always been impatient and fiery. Defending was not Brett's character. Taking the initiative to attack was the way of the king. Brett, where do you think we should attack? Yi Hua asked faintly. This subordinate believes that the mastermind this time should be the God's realm. As long as we kill those people from the God's realm, it will naturally be fine. Brett said respectfully. It was simply an imaginary enemy. Yi Hua said gravely. That God's realm's emperor is a piece of trash. It is impossible for such a person to exist. Maybe the God's realm is hiding something? Brett said respectfully. In any case, the battle was about to start. It was time to let everyone know the power of a team. Just do it. Do it until everyone was terrified. Yi Hua took a deep breath. I can't mess around with this matter. Yi Hua didn't want to fall into the enemy's trap. At that time, he would be laughed at by his enemies. That would be embarrassing, so he had to deal with it calmly. Your Honor, how should we deal with Qing Su? Absolute Heaven asked. Yi Hua tapped on the armrest with his index finger and said gravely. Right now, both Wei Chang and Qing Su have gone missing. If we were to take the initiative to look for them, it would be no different from looking for a needle in a haystack. Then, Your Honor, we have to think of a way, right? I am truly worried about Wei Chang. Yi Zizi's relationship with Wei Chang was still quite good, but when it came to their relationship with their emotions, it was just SOSO. Compared to Qing Su, Wei Chang was definitely more important. Yi Hua also wanted to think of a way, but right now, he didn't even have a single clue, and he didn't know where to start. You all can go and rest first, let me sort out my thoughts. Yi Hua said gravely as he rubbed his forehead. The three subordinates left respectfully, and Yi Hua continued to sit on the throne and pondered. He didn't plan to return to his bedroom anymore, because if he were to return and see those two women, he would feel irritated. They are truly looking for something to do. This is terrible. After walking out of the bedroom, the three didn't leave immediately. What's wrong with Your Honor? In the past, you would always start killing just because you don't get along with each other. Brett said in a low voice. Absolute Heaven pinched onto Brett's cheeks, and the latter pouted her small mouth. In this world, only Absolute Heaven would dare to pinch onto Brett's cheeks like that. Your Honor's mother won't be able to live for much longer. Yi Zizi and Brett didn't know about Li Jing's matter. After all, back then, both of them had left the bedroom. Your Honor has a mother? Yi Zizi and Brett cried out in surprise. Absolute Heaven nodded his head. A lot of things happened when you two weren't around. Let me tell you two about them. All right, Brett said earnestly. After Absolute Heaven told Yi Zizi and Brett about what happened, Yi Zizi and Brett finally understood. His Honor's mother is actually a deity. Meanwhile, His Honor's mother contracted a serious illness, and the medicine was wasted by a palace maid. Furthermore, His Honor's younger brother seems to like this palace maid. My God, what is going on? Why does Yi Zizi feel like she is watching a television show? That's what happened. Recently, His Honor has been very vexed. Qingsu has also disappeared, and there isn't any results from my research. You two shouldn't go and bother His Honor anymore. Absolute Heaven said gravely. Yi Zizi and Brett, who knew about the cause and effect of the matter, finally understood. Yi Zizi asked curiously, "Was that palace maid killed by His Honor?" "No." "Ah, no. Are you sure?" Brett was astonished. His Honor didn't even kill the palace maid. When did he become so nice to her? Absolute Heaven smiled bitterly. Not only did His Honor not kill the palace maid, he even let her out to work in the woodshed. My God, how is this possible? Yi Zizi found it hard to believe. His Honor actually became such a saint. This isn't a good thing. Absolute Heaven placed his hand on Yi Zizi's hand, and the three of them walked together. Absolute Heaven said in a low voice, "I heard that His Honor and his younger brother came to an agreement, which is why he didn't kill the palace maid." "So that's how it is. His Honor's younger brother likes this palace maid." Absolute Heaven nodded his head. "However, the one that Yi Ju Tian is going to marry is another woman." The corner of Brett's mouth twitched. Why do I feel like I am watching a palace drama? How about we go and take a look at this palace maid then? Right now, Yi Zizi was very curious about this palace maid. Brett was also very curious. What kind of palace maid was able to captivate His Honor's younger brother? You two sure are gossipy. Absolute Heaven couldn't help but say. Brett pouted his mouth. You can choose not to come. Wife, accompanying you is my responsibility. Absolute Heaven hurriedly followed after Brett. He discovered that Brett had become a lot sexier recently. On the other side, Qingye and the others sent Lu Jing back to her bedroom, and the four noble women were walking in the imperial palace. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were still very angry. It has been such a long time, yet I still haven't seen Yi Zichen. Qing Yutong decided to stand up for her brother-in-law and said, Big sister Baiji, you two shouldn't have quarreled with brother-in-law. End of chapter. Chapter 1140. Qing Yutong, just whose side are you standing on? Qingye was drunk. Is this little sister of mine a fake? Every single time, he would stand on Yihua's side. Qing Yutong said gravely, too many things happened tonight. Lai Gu was poisoned, and the person who poisoned him was one of brother-in-law's subordinates, Qing Su, and that Qing Su kidnapped Do Fushi and brought him away. His whereabouts are unknown, and the most important thing is Wei Chang gone missing. Moreover, he disappeared after fighting with someone, and now brother-in-law can't be contacted. After Qing Yutong finished speaking, both Qingye and Donghuang Baiji remained silent. There were still a lot of things that Qian Yuqing didn't understand. For example, those subordinates of Yihua. Sometimes Qian Yuqing basically didn't know who was who, and Yihua also didn't bring Qian Yuqing along to get to know them. Therefore, when Qian Yuqing heard what Qian Yuqing said, Qian Yuqing was also confused. She only knew that the person who was very important to Yihua had disappeared. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were both rather shocked. Wei Chang actually went missing as well. Wei Chang and Yihua's relationship was so good. Yihua would definitely be worried about Wei Chang's disappearance. Right now, Donghuang Baiji still remembered that Wei Chang was by Yihua's side when they went to the bar. Wei Chang's disappearance definitely caused Yihua's mood to be bad. Even Do Fushi was kidnapped. Too many misfortunes had happened on this night. Big sister Baiji, brother-in-law's mood tonight is truly not good. You two can find trouble with brother-in-law another day. Just let brother-in-law deal with everything first. Qing Yutong suggested. As long as you two don't go and cause trouble for brother-in-law, it will be fine. Qingye had a whole new level of respect for her younger sister. I didn't expect that her younger sister would change after going out this time. Qingye patted onto Qing Yutong's shoulder and said earnestly, Yutong, big sister is very gratified right now. You have finally matured. Qing Yutong. To hell with being mature. I, Qing Yutong, am still young and inexperienced. I am 18 years old every year, okay? On the other side, Yi Zizi, Brett, and Ju Tian arrived at the woodshed. It was already so late, but the three of them could still hear the sound of wood being chopped in the woodshed. The three took a look at each other. There's still someone who hasn't slept yet. The three of them did not enter from the front. Instead, they appeared in the woodshed while invisible and walked toward the figure chopping firewood. When they saw this woman, Yi Zizi and Brett both had looks of surprise on their faces. What a beautiful woman! Even Absolute Heaven expressed that she was very beautiful. Although he had sneaked a peek at her before, now that he saw her for the second time, he still felt that she was very beautiful. Yi Zizi and Brett finally understood why His Honor's younger brother would be infatuated with Yi Zizi. This kind of woman indeed deserves to be infatuated with. But there seemed to be something wrong with this woman. She was chopping firewood so late at night, and her face was pale and haggard, as if she was injured by something. The webbing between his thumb and forefinger was red, and there were red marks on the handle of the axe. Wusu Empire's night was still very cold, but there were still beads of sweat that were dripping down her forehead, flowing down her cheeks, and falling onto the ground. Dust rose up into the air. This woman was naturally Yi. Why does she look so miserable? Brett asked curiously. Yi Zizi also felt the same. Originally, I hated it. After all, I did something wrong, and it is normal for me to be punished by His Honor. However, looking at Yi's current appearance, I feel that she is so pitiful. A girl like this is still chopping firewood, and the web between her thumb and index finger is bleeding, Zhu Tian said softly. It's all because of Yi Juetian. Why? Yi Zizi asked curiously. Because Yi Juetian is going to get married to Gongyu. Zhu Tian shook his head helplessly. The news of Yi Juetian and Gongyu getting married had long been spread throughout the palace. Yi, who had just been released, was still waiting for Yi Juetian to come and explain. And unexpectedly, what she received was indeed such a grievous news. Yi really wanted to go and find Yi Juetian and ask him why, such a big matter. Why didn't you ask me? Yi had been waiting for Yi Juetian to come and explain everything every day, but Yi Juetian didn't come at all. Yi even heard that Yi Juetian and Gongyu were inseparable, and they were extremely loving. This made Yi feel so much pain that she wished she was dead. Yi often asked herself why this was happening. Could it be that it was because I was born in a lowly position? To be looked down upon by everyone. Even the person that one loves the most is the same. Her heart was like dead ashes. This was Yi's current state. As women, Yi Zizi and Brett felt that Yi was pitiful. Therefore, there was nothing to hide, and Yi directly revealed herself. Yi suddenly saw two women appearing in front of her. One of them was cute, and the other was tall and sexy, but she didn't recognize either of them. However, when she saw Zhu Tian, who was at the back, Yi recognized Zhu Tian, and immediately knelt onto the ground to greet him. You can get up. Zhu Tian said faintly. Thank you, Lord. Yi slowly stood up, then slightly lowered her head and stood at the side, not speaking. Brett didn't really like Yi's attitude. In any case, he just disliked Yi. Why are you afraid of us? Brett asked gravely. Yi lowered her head and didn't speak. Why aren't you speaking? Brett asked again. However, Yi still lowered her head and didn't speak. Zhu Tian pulled onto Brett's sleeve. Don't ask anymore, she rarely speaks. Indeed, the current Yi didn't speak at all. No matter how others bullied her, she wouldn't speak. It was just like how Yi Juetian saw Yi for the first time on the street. Brett took a look at Yi, then disappeared from the spot. Zhu Tian followed after Brett and left. Yi Zizi raised her head and looked towards Yi, then took out a lollipop and placed it in Yi's hand. This is very sweet. It might be able to make you feel a bit better. After finished speaking, Yi Zizi disappeared from the spot as well. Yi held onto the lollipop in her hand and stood there for a very long time. Soon after, Yi lightly opened the packaging of the lollipop and looked at the pink ball. Yi stuck out her tongue and licked the lollipop, and a sweet taste lingered in her mouth. The lollipop is indeed delicious, and my mood became slightly better. Yi licked a few mouthfuls of the lollipop, then kept it away. I will only eat it when my mood is bad. Picking up the axe at the side, Yi arranged the wooden block properly, then raised the axe and chopped down. I wonder if Yi imagined the wooden block to be Yi Juetian. If I continue chopping down the wooden block like this, it will definitely feel great, right? Within the palace hall, Yi Hua pondered for a very long time, then called out, "White bones." The palace hall remained silent for 2 seconds, Then a voice sounded out. Your Honor, I have a mission to give you, and this mission might be rather difficult. Yi Hua said gravely. After thinking for a while, he felt that it would be better for him to let White Bones go out right now, because it would be much safer. After all, since White Bones was able to make Wei Chong go missing, then White Bones would also be able to make Yi Zizi and the others cause trouble for Yi Zizi and the others. I am willing to go through fire and water for your honor. White Bones shouted out respectfully. You were originally Kaiyun's subordinate, but this time, the team is facing a crisis, and it is inconvenient for other people to go out. Subordinate understands. End of this chapter. Chapter 1141. Very well, I want you to go and look for Ching Su. Although his poison is powerful, I am afraid that it shouldn't be able to do anything to air. Before going to look for Ching Su, I still want you to go and kill a person. Yi Hua said coldly. Right now, only death can make me happy. Your Honor, please speak. White Bones said gravely. Go and kill the God's Realm's Emperor, Huang Feiди. I want him to die in front of everyone. Yi Hua said with an ice-cold killing intent. Originally, I wanted to torture Huang Feidi to death, but I don't have the mood to do that anymore. Subordinate obeys. Does your honor have any other arrangements? White Bones asked respectfully. Go and do what you need to do first. You have worked hard. Yi Hua said lightly. Serving your honor will be subordinate's greatest honor. Yi Hua nodded his head and waved his hand. Yi Hua didn't even know if White Bones had left or not, but he reckoned that White Bones had left. This White Bones is indeed abnormal. If I want to kill it, I will have to spend a lot of effort. Back then, I even let it escape. Huang Feidi, I originally wanted to play a few rounds with you, but who asked me to be in a bad mood tonight? Since that's the case, don't blame me. In your next life, don't ever provoke my women or my family members. If not, only death and absolute heaven will descend. Yi Hua placed his hand on his forehead and seemed to be thinking about something. The enemy this time is very cunning. Perhaps, only this kind of enemy is worthy of fighting against me. Of course, I am referring to my brain. My strength is #1 in the world. Brother-in-law, are you still thinking about the problem? Qing Yutong bounced over, looking like she was still a child. Yi Hua sighed and asked faintly, how is your big sister? She is still all right. She did not make a fuss anymore. Qing Yutong spread out her hands. With me, Yutong, isn't big sister still able to settle everything? Qing Yutong continued. Brother-in-law, how about we go back now? Forget it. I still have a lot of things that I need to think about right now. Just looking at the two of them makes me feel annoyed. Yi Hua said coldly. Qing Yutong pursed her lips. Brother-in-law, let's go to my bedroom and let Yutong give you a massage to help you stretch your body. Sigh, if your sister was as sensible as you, I wouldn't have to be so sad. Yi Hua shook his head, then stood up and walked down the stairs. Meanwhile, Qing Yutong held onto Yi Hua's arm and leaned onto Yi Hua's shoulder happily. Look at me, Yutong, I never do anything. They just like to do something. One day, if I really make brother-in-law disappear, I will regret it. The next morning, God's Realm Yi family. Yuanqing, pray to the emperor to help your brother get an official position. Yi Shan, who was dressed in court attire, stood beside Yi Yuanqing and said. Yi Yuanqing, dressed in a velvet armor, went to the morning court with his father. Father, the emperor wants to wipe out our Yi family. Why would he arrange a position for my brother? Yi Yuanqing said softly. If he could, he would have done so long ago. The father and daughter sat in the carriage. Yi Shan said in a low voice, Yuanqing, you can try when the time comes. It doesn't matter if you fail or not. Father. All right, I'll give it a try. Yi Yuanqing didn't have the heart to reject Yi Yuanqing's father again. It's all because of that bastard. Yi Shan bellowed. Father, please don't talk about Big Brother like that. Yi Yuanqing didn't like his father talking about Big Brother like that anymore. If it wasn't for Big Brother, I might not be standing here right now. Yi Shan said gravely. Why can't I talk about him like that? If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have ended up in this state. Father, don't forget, the emperor is afraid of Yi family now. Yi Yuanqing said coldly. His father was no longer the father from back then. His father was like a cowardly tiger that only dared to hide in his own territory. That's not me, Yi Shan said casually. Yi Yuanqing bit his lips lightly. Father, you are just jealous of big brother. Bastard. Pa. A slap landed onto Yi Yuanqing's face fiercely. A 5-finger mark immediately appeared on Yi Yuanqing's white face. Yi Yuanqing pulled a long face. He raised his head slightly and held onto his face, appearing to be in disbelief. I didn't expect that my father would actually slap my face. One must know that my father has never slapped me before. Yi Shan was also furious. The only daughter that I fancy is also talking to Yi Hua. I'm not happy. It seems like the entire Yi family was snatched away by Yi Hua. The carriage immediately quietened down. Both father and daughter didn't speak, and Yi Shan had also calmed down a lot. Yuanqing, father was impulsive just now. Yi Shan let out a breath, and there was a hint of apology in his words. It is natural for a father to hit his daughter. There is no need for father to apologize. Yi Yuanqing said faintly. Yi Shan suddenly recalled that when Big Brother came back, he fiercely beat up father. I really envy Big Brother's courage. I don't dare to do that myself. Yi Shan was helpless. He knew that his daughter was angry. After arriving at the entrance of the imperial palace, Yi Yuanqing got off the carriage and immediately walked into the imperial palace. Yi Shan was so shocked that he got off the carriage. Lord Yi seems to have gotten into a conflict with our daughter. Yi Shan went into a daze for a moment. He turned his head around and took a look, then shouted out respectfully, Prime Minister Shan. You are being too polite. We might be in-laws in the future. Shan Junren said with a smile, appearing to be very astute. Yi Shan was very puzzled. Does this Shan Junren really want to get married? However, if it is a marriage, it wouldn't be good for Yuanqing's career. Prime Minister Shan, I can't even care about Yuanqing's matters anymore. And he even got into a fight with me just now. Yi Shan said helplessly. The meaning behind his words was that he couldn't make the decision himself, or else he should go and ask his daughter. Shan Junren naturally understood what Yi Shan meant and said with a smile, Lord Yi, let us enter the palace first. Prime Minister Shan, please leave first. You are too polite. Yi Shan knew that the reason why Shan Junren behaved like this was all because of Yi Hua. The reason why they are so respectful to Yi Hua is all because of that unfilial son. It isn't because of me. A father is becoming more and more powerful because of his son. This is simply a humiliation to me. Along the way, Yi Shan heard other people addressing him respectfully. Before Yi Hua appeared, these people wouldn't even dare to let out a fart. Look at now, they have all given quite a lot of good things to Yi Hua. This is the doing of a lowly person. Trash. The civil and military officials arrived at the palace and stood to the left and right. Right now, Yi Yuanqing was standing at the very front, and he looked rather formidable. Yi Shan could only stand at the back of the line, and this was enough to prove how low his position was. Your Majesty has arrived. Along with a high-pitched voice, Huang Feidi, who was wearing an emperor robe, appeared. For a person to still be able to smile so happily after losing 2 of his sons not too long ago, it could only be Huang Feidi. However, the smile that Huang Feidi was smiling at right now was because he was smiling at Yi Hua. Your mother is going to die soon, and I, the emperor, am happy. Didn't you just prevent me from touching a woman? What's the big deal about that? I will just not touch a woman. Do you think that you will be able to make me feel uncomfortable just because of that? Upon thinking about how furious Yi Hua was that day, Huang Feidi felt very happy. End of this chapter. Chapter 1142. Not only am I going to kill your mother, I am also going to kill your entire family, and give your women to the dirtiest beggars. Just thinking about it makes me feel great. Blessings to your Majesty. The civil and military officials lowered their heads and shouted. Huang Feidi opened up his arms and took a deep breath, preparing to shout out. But suddenly he felt a chill on his neck, as if he was pricked by an ice needle. After a long time, the civil and military officials were very curious as to why Huang Feidi still hasn't shouted out. Your Majesty! Your Majesty! The eunuch who was standing beside Huang Feidi shouted out. The eunuch shouted out a few times, but the emperor didn't reply. The eunuch turned his head and took a look. Ah, the eunuch finally shouted out a scream that sounded like a woman's. Following the eunuch's shout, the civil and military officials all raised their heads and looked towards Huang Feidi. They immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. Boiling hot blood could be seen flowing out from Huang Feidi's neck. His imperial robe was already dyed red by the blood, and Huang Feidi still had his hands spread out. Your Majesty, there's an assassin. Your Majesty, what happened to you? The entire palace was in chaos. All of you shut up. Shan Junren shouted out angrily. Yi Yuanqing looked at Huang Feidi, who was high above, and said gravely, His Majesty has already passed away. Although he didn't dare to believe it, Yi Yuanqing had no choice but to believe the truth in front of him. His Majesty died in front of everyone's eyes. Just who was it? Who had such great capability? At least half of the people present were supremes, and no matter how powerful the assassin was, there would definitely be some sort of aura fluctuation. Furthermore, Huang Feidi was a supreme himself, and now he died for no reason. General Yi, what do you think? Shan Junren asked gravely. Yi Yuanqing shook his head. I don't know, His Majesty was definitely killed by someone, but this person is either too strong, or he is just air. Even His Majesty's primordial spirit was eliminated. Everyone's expression was grave. The Emperor of God's realm was assassinated in front of the civil and military officials. Just how much of a face slap is this? Prime Minister Shan, we should prepare for His Majesty's funeral. Yi Yuanqing said lightly. Shan Junren looked at the people behind him and asked softly, General Yi, how are we going to choose the crown prince? For a prime minister to ask such a thing, it was obvious that he wanted Yi Yuanqing to make the decision. Right now, there were even a lot of people who were looking at Yi Yuanqing. His Majesty suddenly died just like that. Could it be that Prince Yi did it? Yi Yuanqing had no intention of usurping the throne. Even if he wanted to, it would not be justifiable. Seeing that Yi Yuanqing was silent, Shan Junren whispered, Does Prince Yi have any arrangements? Shan Junren was full of tricks. He just wanted to ask if Lord Yi was behind this assassination. Yi Yuanqing said in a deep voice, Prime Minister Shan, my big brother is not in the God's realm. But General Yi, this is a rare opportunity. Please inform Prince Yi. Shan Junren said in a low voice and walked away. Yi Yuanqing was a little hesitant and looked at his father. His father's face was filled with panic, as if he was afraid of getting into trouble. Yi Yuanqing shook his head. Ask his father? There won't be any results if I do that. I might as well go and ask Big Brother. How is he going to resolve this matter? Should he join hands with Shan Junren to seize the throne? Or should he just do his job? Yi Yuanqing looked towards the golden bright and dazzling throne with a grave expression on his face. Of course, there was also Huang Fei, who was still standing. Even though he was already dead, his eyes were still filled with disbelief. Why did he die just like that? Just who was he killed? I don't even know why he died so mysteriously. However, the murderer had already left the God's realm a long time ago. To kill a trash, it was as easy as waving his hand. Huang Fei's death shook the entire spiritual city. However, the news of him being assassinated was buried. Everyone said that the emperor suddenly fell ill and died after vomiting a few mouthfuls of blood. Who came up with this excuse? Don't you think that this is too sloppy? A supreme martial artist died after vomiting a few mouthfuls of blood? Is this a joke? But no matter what, the emperor died. This was what everyone was concerned about. Furthermore, the problem now was the emperor died. Who was going to be the emperor? Among those princes of Huang Fei, all of them were idling around and not doing proper work. Even the more outstanding Huang Yin had died, and there was also the eldest prince Huang Li. Who else had the qualifications to be the emperor? However, right at this moment, someone shouted out that it was perfectly justifiable for Prince Yi to be the emperor. Although they did not have the same surname, they were still princes. However, this saying received a heavy blow from the royal family. A prince with another surname wants to be the emperor? Impossible. Right at this moment, someone questioned, other than Prince Yi, who else had the qualifications to be the emperor? The emperors of the God's realm were basically all supported by the people. Of course, they were supported by the royal family. This was also why Huang Yun cared so much about the opinions of the people. Huang Fei was the same as well. If not for taking into consideration the opinions of the people, Huang Fei would have directly killed him. However, the problem now was that there were no outstanding people in the royal family, and all of them were trash. You want to let trash become the emperor? The people couldn't afford to lose face like that. If Huang Yun knew that such a thing would happen, he would definitely act calmly. Right now, the throne was on his head. There was no need to fight over it at all. The emperor died, and the entire spiritual city was in a mess. Everyone was discussing about the issue of the new emperor. Right now, Yi Yuanqing was already standing at the entrance of Wushu Empire, and he was amazed by Big Brother's city. Such a tall and luxurious city wall. Big Brother is just too rich, isn't he? So reflective, so dazzling. This city wall is even sturdier than Spiritual City's city wall. Big Brother is truly formidable. After walking into the city, Yi Yuanqing saw a different city. The streets here were very wide, much wider than Spiritual Cities, and the people walking on the streets were not crowded at all. Furthermore, the streets were very busy, and the people were very friendly with each other. Everyone had a blissful smile on their faces, and they were very satisfied with their current lives. Yi Yuanqing thought to himself, Big Brother is truly a genius, to be able to manage an empire properly. Perhaps, if Big Brother is able to become the emperor of the gods' realm, it would be a blessing for the people. Thinking up to here, Yi Yuanqing seemed to have made up his mind and walked towards the royal palace. Right now, Yi Hua was currently in deep thought in his study room. Hearing that his little sister had come, Yi Hua slightly went into a daze, and a trace of a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. His mood became slightly better. Yuanqing. Seeing that his little sister walked over, Yi Hua said with a slight smile. Yi Yuanqing pretended to be confused. Should I call you Big Brother Emperor, or Big Brother? Up to you, as long as you are happy. Yi Hua stretched out his hand and patted onto Yi Yuanqing's head. The latter enjoyed this kind of action very much. Yuanqing, why did you come? Qian Yuqing, who was standing at the side, cried out in surprise. Sister-in-law, wow. How long has it been since we last met? How did you become so beautiful? It can't be that you had sex with Big Brother, right? End of this chapter. Chapter 1143. Qian Yuqing blushed. You're an unmarried girl. You really have a big mouth. When the time comes, no one will want you. Haha, sister-in-law is shy. Yi Yuanqing teased. Sister-in-law could only be like this in front of his brother. Yi Yuanqing's arrival had indeed made the atmosphere a lot better, and it also made Yi Hua slightly happier. Big Brother, Huang Fei has died. Yi Yuanqing said gravely, then looked at his big brother. Qian Yuqing's eyes widened in shock as she exclaimed, What? Huang Fei is dead? When did that happen? A few days ago. Yi Hua acted as if he didn't hear anything and continued to ponder about his own matters. Big Brother? Yi Yuanqing called softly. Yi Hua raised his head and looked towards his little sister, then responded with an "Oh." He didn't put the matter to heart at all. However, Yi Yuanqing had a guess in his heart. The emperor's death was definitely related to his big brother. This time, he came down to ask his big brother. Big Brother, Huang Fei's death? Before Yi Yuanqing could finish speaking, Yi Hua said lightly, Big Brother, I was the one who asked someone to do it. Ah. Yi Yuanqing and Qian Yuqing exclaimed at the same time. Yi Yuanqing didn't expect that Big Brother was the one who did it. His brain couldn't react. Big Brother, why? Yi Yuanqing didn't understand. Why did Big Brother want to do it now? If he wanted to do it, he could have done it earlier. Why did he do it now? I can't stand the sight of him. Yi Hua said coldly. That damned Huang Fei. Let him die a little more quickly. It was a painless death. Indeed, Huang Fei didn't even feel anything before he died. Qian Yuqing was a bit afraid. She was afraid that Yi Hua would start a war with the deities. It had been a period of time since I stayed at Yi Hua's side. The military strength of the entire Voidless Empire was scarce, and when compared to God's realm, The difference between the military strength of Voidless Empire and God's realm was like heaven and earth. Qian Yuqing still didn't know the strength of Yi Hua's subordinates. The battle of the 7 deadly sins wasn't a battle of attrition. Take Qing Su for example. No matter where he went, he would be able to poison a group of people. Furthermore, there was also Yi Zizi's great absorption technique, coupled with Wei Chang's great absorption technique. No matter how many people there were, it would be useless. Unfortunately, Wei Chang had disappeared and his whereabouts were unknown. Big brother, why did you suddenly attack now? Does Big brother want to? Yi Hua lightly waved his hand, and the conversation between him and Huang Feidi appeared. Yi Yuanqing was shocked and quickly asked, Big brother, what happened to Aunt Le? Mother doesn't have much spiritual spring left, and it was wasted by a palace maid. Yi Hua said coldly. Right now he was filled with anger. This palace maid was sent by Huang Feidi? Yi Hua said gravely, most likely. This Huang Feidi. Damn it. Yi Yuanqing said hatefully. He deserved to die. Yi Hua asked faintly. What is the current situation in Spirit City? Now that Huang Feidi is dead, who will be the new emperor? Big brother, your voice is very loud right now. As long as Big brother is willing to go back, Prime Minister Shan said that Big brother can definitely become the emperor of the God's realm. In Yi Yuanqing's heart, if Big brother really killed the emperor, then Big brother should have the idea of becoming the emperor. However, Yi Yuanqing was wrong. The reason why Yi Hua killed Huang Feidi was not for the throne. In Yi Hua's heart, the throne was just a decoration. Not interested, Big brother, I still have a lot of things that I have to deal with. Yi Hua said calmly. How can the throne be more important than mother's illness and Wei Chang? In Qian Yuqing's heart, she also felt that Yi Hua should go back and fight for the throne. After all, the emperor of the God's realm is much more powerful than this emperor. After all, that emperor is able to control a lot of planes. Even Kangluo continent is just one of the bigger planes. However, when Yi Yuanqing heard what his big brother said, he felt a wave of disappointment. Big brother is actually not interested. Yi Hua stood up and walked to his sister's side, then patted on her shoulder and said, Yuanqing, you can become the emperor. Me? Big brother, stop joking around. There has never been a woman who has become the emperor of the God's realm. Yi Yuanqing said fearfully. He was frightened by his big brother's terrifying thought. Yi Hua laughed lightly. Yuanqing, Big brother killed Huang Feidi, and that was also to pave the way for you. If you sit on the throne, what difference would there be between Big brother sitting on the throne and you sitting on the throne? Yi Yuanqing didn't expect that his big brother would actually have such a thought. Yi Yuanqing was very touched. Big brother is actually paving the way for me, and it is even a throne. A throne that everyone covets. Big brother is giving it to me just like that. Big brother trusts me so much. Tell that Shan Junren, if he is sensible, then stand on my side if not. Yi Hua sent out a death notice. If one stands on my side, at least one won't die. If one stands on the opposite side of my main body, other than death, there is no other possibility. Big brother. I am still not mentally prepared. In the end, Yi Yuanqing is a woman. This throne is not a daughter-in-law. And from Big brother's mouth, whoever he wants to sit on the throne can sit on it. That throne has been sat on by the royal family for 10,000 years. And now that the throne has suddenly changed to another surname, it is inevitable that an accident will occur. Yi Hua wasn't very anxious and said lightly, It's fine, you will get used to it in the future. For the next few days, you will properly have fun at Big brother's place, and think about how you should walk your path in the future. Big brother still wants you to sit on the throne. Who said that women can't sit on the throne? Big brother wants you to break this convention. Hearing what Big brother said, Yi Yuanqing's blood started boiling. That's right, all these years, didn't I want to prove that women can also do what men can do? Thank you, Big brother, I will properly think about it. Yi Yuanqing said respectfully. Yi Hua treated this little sister very well. And he felt that Yi Yuanqing was very sensible. Even more sensible than his own younger brother. After a period of time, Zhu Tian will be getting married. At that time, you should attend the wedding first before going back. Yi Hua added. Yi Yuanqing cried out in surprise once again. Ah! Little Tian is getting married? With who? Yuqing, bring Yuanqing over to take a look. I still have a lot of things to think about. Qian Yuqing knew that during this period of time, Yi Hua was very vexed and had a lot of things to do. Thus, she gave Yi Yuanqing a nice signal, and Yi Yuanqing immediately understood. Big brother, that little sister has gone out. Yi Hua nodded his head. The two women walked outside, and Yi Yuanqing asked curiously, Sister-in-law, just what is going on with that palace maid? Qian Yuqing sighed helplessly. Too many things have happened during this period of time. Little Tian likes that palace maid. Little Tian likes that palace maid? What is going on? Didn't that palace maid harm Aunt Lu? Yi Yuanqing felt that his brain wasn't enough to process what was going on. This relationship is a bit complicated. Yuanqing, in actuality, I feel that that palace maid shouldn't have been sent by Huang Feidi, and Yi Hua should have thought wrongly. However, Yi Hua is very sensitive towards this matter, and no matter who brings up this matter, he would not show a good expression. End of this chapter. Chapter 1144. This is also because of Auntie Lu. Big brother is very filial. Yi Yuanqing could understand his big brother. Sigh, that palace maid's life is actually quite bitter. Qian Yuqing sighed. Sister-in-law, take me to see little Tian first. Yes. The two of them quickly arrived at Yi Juetian's sleeping quarters. It was broad daylight, and Yi Juetian was sitting in the pavilion drinking tea. Gong Yu sat at the side and played the zither. The pleasant sound of the zither floated in the air, very pleasing to the ear. As expected of a talented woman, Gong Yu was well versed in all kinds of martial arts. Such a woman was indeed a very good marriage partner. However, Yi Juetian did not feel anything from the beginning to the end. His entire mind was focused on Yi. Gong Yu, who was playing the zither, could feel that although Yi Juetian was faking it with her, Yi Juetian was still thinking about the woodshed. Why? Why can't I, Gong Yu, compare to a lowly servant? I can play the zither and pour water for you. In the future, I can even give birth to a child and help you in your career. But what can that Yi give you? Apart from acting coquettishly, what else was there to do? Little Tian. Yi Yuanqing shouted out. This fellow seems to have become more mature, unlike how he used to be in the Yi family. Men could only mature after experiencing love. Second sister. Yi Juetian immediately stood up. He was very excited. Gong Yu, who was at the side, also stopped playing her zither, and respectfully stood behind Yi Juetian. When Yi Yuanqing walked over, Gong Yu obediently greeted, Sister-in-law, second sister. Yi Yuanqing looked at Gong Yu and felt that the two of them were quite compatible. It was a good thing to see little Tian get married. Lil Tian, you've changed from a boy to a man now, right? Yi Yuanqing couldn't help but tease and pat Yi Juetian's shoulder. Yi Yuanqing was a general. When he was at the border, he was surrounded by men. Hence he sometimes spoke like a man. But in front of her big brother, she still acted like a daughter, and was very respectful. Yi Juetian laughed dryly. There is indeed such a thing where a boy becomes a man, but that was an accident. Gong Yu blushed. She didn't expect her second sister to be so bold. Qian Yuqing tugged at Yi Yuanqing, indicating that he was a bit dirty now. I'll go get some water for sister-in-law and second sister. Gong Yu jogged away, her face red from being teased. After Gong Yu left, Yi Yuanqing chuckled and said, Not bad, little Tian is very good at picking up girls. It hasn't been long since we last met, and he has already gotten himself a beauty. Second big sister, don't laugh at me anymore. Gong Yu and I are just pretending, that's all. Yi Juetian let out a long sigh. Sister-in-law knew about his situation, so there was nothing for Yi Juetian to hide. Qian Yuqing sighed softly. Yi Yuanqing glanced at his sister-in-law confused. Little Tian, what's wrong with you? You bullied her, and you're still pretending? Second big sister, this matter is a long story. The person I like is someone else. That palace maid. Yi Yuanqing asked in a deep voice. Yes. Then do you know that the palace maid harmed Auntie Le? Yi Yuanqing questioned. Yi Juetian raised his head, looked at Yi Yuanqing and said firmly, "Second sister. Yi will definitely not do that kind of thing. I dare to use my life to guarantee it." "Little Tian, then what do you want to do now?" Yi Yuanqing asked in a low voice. Yi Juetian said helplessly, "I can only marry Gongyu. Only then will I be able to protect Yi's life. Big brother promised me this." No wonder Big Brother didn't kill that palace maid, so it turns out that he had an agreement with little Tian. After all, framing Auntie Lu, it was already a miracle that the palace maid didn't die. "Little Tian, right now Huang Feidi is dead," Yi Yuanqing said in a low voice. "What? Dead?" Yi Juetian cried out in surprise. "I originally wanted to help Yi clear her name, but this Huang Feidi actually died. Right now, who can clear Yi's name? There's no one left. Yi will have to bear the crime of murdering her mother for the rest of her life." Yi Juetian held onto his forehead with both of his hands, appearing to be in great pain. "How did he die?" "It was Big Brother who ordered people to go and kill him," Yi Yuanqing said lightly. The death of such a big emperor, when spoken like this, made it seem as if it was very normal, and there was no need to take it to heart at all. Huang Feidi deserved to die. Yi Juetian didn't have any thoughts about it, but right now, the dead can't testify, at this time. Gongyu walked over while carrying a cup of tea. Yi Yuanqing revealed a gentle smile. He suddenly felt that this woman was rather pitiful, and he could clearly feel that she liked little Tian. However, little Tian liked another woman, and the most painful thing in life was none other than the person you liked falling in love with someone else. "Juetian, sister-in-law, second sister, have some tea." Gongyu shouted respectfully and poured more tea for the three of them. Yi Yuanqing could only smile and say, "Sister-in-law is very virtuous." "Second sister, you must be joking. I am just doing what I should do," Gongyu said with a slight smile. If it wasn't for little Tian liking another woman, Yi Yuanqing would feel that Gongyu was very compatible with little Tian. However, Yi Yuanqing was also very curious about that Yi. Exactly what kind of woman could make little Tian so infatuated with her? The four sat together and chatted for a while, and after that, Yi Yuanqing decided to go and take a look at that Yi. After walking out of the bedroom, Yi Yuanqing said lightly, "Sister-in-law, bring me to take a look at that Yi." "Are you really going?" "And I want to see what kind of person she is, so that I can have an estimate in my heart." Yi Yuanqing wanted to see why this Yi was able to obtain little Tian's trust, and whether or not she was Huang Feidi's secret agent. Qian Yuqing nodded her head, and the two of them walked towards the woodshed. During the day, the door of the woodshed was wide open. Before Qian Yuqing and Yi Yuanqing even walked into the woodshed, they heard a burst of ear-piercing cheers, and the sound of whips could also be heard. This lowly servant girl actually likes Lord Yi. Even in her dreams, she calls out Lord Ye's name. Why don't you take a look at your own status? Is Lord Yi someone you can climb up to? Ugly duckling, do you want to eat Dragon King meat? You think that just because you look good, you can dream of being a princess? Watch how I beat you to death, lowly servant girl. Pa Qian Yuqing's expression sunk, and she hurriedly ran inside, and Yi Yuanqing also hurriedly followed after her. The scene that appeared in front of them caused Qian Yuqing and Yi Yuanqing's expression to sink. 4 or 5 palace maids surrounded a palace maid and mocked and ridiculed her. And that palace maid was even curled up, allowing one of the palace maids to whip her. Although they were all ordinary people, but when they whipped a human body, that kind of pain was still very unbearable. Furthermore, even her clothes were torn. The degree of savageness was enough to make one's hair stand up in anger. "What are you doing?" Qian Yuqing shouted coldly. These palace maids were originally sent here because they committed crimes, so they were all not good women, and their jealousy was very strong. Actually, this was already not the first time that Yi was bullied, but Yi had always been enduring it, and was still waiting for Yi Juetian to give her an explanation. End of this chapter. Chapter 1145. Empress, good luck. The palace maids immediately kneeled down in fear. Yi slightly raised her head and looked towards Qian Yuqing. Yi had a good impression of Qian Yuqing. She used all of her strength to bow towards Qian Yuqing. That action of hers made one's heart ache. Yi Yuanqing could already feel that the palace maid who was beaten up was Yi. She is indeed beautiful, no wonder little Tian likes her. But, why was she beaten up like this? What happened? Qian Yuqing questioned coldly. The palace maids looked at each other, and didn't know how to answer. However, Yi said weakly, "Empress, I didn't do my job well, that's why I was punished." The palace maids let out a breath. "At least you know how to plead for us. If not, I will beat you to death." Qian Yuqing was very angry. She stretched out her palm and waved it. Pa pa pa. The palace maids immediately felt pain on their faces as they were slapped away. They fell to the side and wailed. Scram. Qian Yuqing shouted coldly. The palace maids endured the pain and kneeled down. "Empress, please spare us." Scram. The palace maids were delighted. However, they didn't expect that Yi would actually have the Empress backing her up. Her background is so big. It seems like I have to be more careful in the future. The palace maids left obediently. Qian Yuqing walked to the front of Yi and helped the pitiful Yi up. "Are you all right?" "Empress, I am fine." Yi squeezed out a trace of a smile. Qian Yuqing directly rolled up Yi's sleeves. The red scars on Yi's sleeves were very shocking. The scars on Yi's shoulders were the same. Qian Yuqing directly lifted up Yi's clothes, and on Yi's fair back, sinister wounds could be seen. Qian Yuqing felt that I should have killed those palace maids just now. They are actually so vicious. Yi Yuanqing stood at the side and didn't speak. However, her eyebrows were tightly wrinkled. I never expected that the girl that little Tian likes would actually be abused here. Qian Yuqing couldn't bear to see Yi like this. She decided to have a good talk with Yi tonight. Yi is definitely not a spy. If I didn't come today, Yi might have been beaten to death by those palace maids. I am really fine. Yi squeezed out a gentle smile, and placed down Yi's clothes. Qian Yuqing released a white glow and instantly healed Yi's injuries. "You've suffered." Hearing those 3 words, the grievances in Yi's heart immediately gushed out. She wasn't afraid of being beaten by others, and she wasn't afraid of being mocked by others, but she was afraid of being cared for by others. Tears flowed down from Yi's exquisite face. Qian Yuqing's heart ached for Yi too, and she lightly hugged onto Yi. "Alright, don't cry anymore." Yi Yuanqing was now a little doubtful. Was such a woman a spy? In that case, they were either too good at acting, using their lives to be spies, or they were wrongly accused. But looking at the current situation, it did seem that he was wronged. If he didn't come today, it would be normal for him to be beaten to death. How could she have predicted his return? "Yi, let's go. Don't wait any longer." Qian Yuqing said softly. "If you continue to wait like this, you will lose your life." Yi shook her head and whispered, "Empress, I'm not leaving." "Why? If you continue like this, something bad will happen. I also don't wish to see the Empress being punished because of my matter. I am guilty. These punishments are what I deserve." In actuality, Yi didn't wish for others to be harmed because of her matter. If I were to be let go by the Empress, the Emperor would definitely hold me accountable. For me, it isn't worth it. Furthermore, I am still waiting for an explanation. Even if I have to wait till the end of time, I still want to wait for this explanation. "You silly girl, why bother?" Qian Yuqing lightly stroked onto Yi's hair. "Can't you think for yourself?" At this moment, Yi Yuanqing, who was standing at the side, asked, "Yi, do you really like Xiao Tian?" Yi raised her head and looked towards Yi Yuanqing. Her gaze was filled with doubt. "I am Yi Juetian's second sister," Yi Yuanqing added. "So it is Ye's second sister." Yi immediately felt afraid. Perhaps it was because of her big brother, Yi Hua. Yi felt that this second sister of hers is probably not that easy to talk to. Qian Yuqing could sense that Yi's body was trembling. Seems like Yi is truly afraid of Yi Hua. Furthermore, upon hearing that Yi is Yi Hua's little sister, Yi immediately thought that Yi is the same as Yi Hua. "Yi, don't be afraid." Qian Yuqing's words were still useful. In this kind of palace, the only person that Yi could trust was Qian Yuqing. In Yi's heart, she didn't know if she should trust Yi Juetian or not. Yi Yuanqing sighed in his heart, not knowing what to say. Yi only managed to calm herself down after a long while. Just now her emotions were a bit big. After all, Yi was also an ordinary person, and even if she wasn't made of iron, she still had emotions. Empress, is Ye going to get married soon? Yi asked in a low voice. Her disappointment was clear to see. Qian Yuqing sighed lightly. Yes, very soon. Yi bit her lips tightly. Oh. Yi, take it slow, don't do anything foolish, understand? I will think of a way for you. Qian Yuqing warned. She was afraid that Yi would take things too hard. And if that happened, all the things that Xiao Tian did would be wasted. Looking at Yi's lifeless look, Qian Yuqing wanted to tell Yi that in actuality, Xiao Tian got married in order to save your life. However, Qian Yuqing was afraid that if she were to tell Yi about this matter, Yi would have even more terrifying thoughts, and by then, it would be even more troublesome. However, if I don't tell Yi about this matter, am I going to let Yi continue to be sad? I am truly in a dilemma. Empress, don't worry. I won't do anything foolish, don't go. Yi didn't finish her words, but Qian Yuqing knew what Yi wanted to say. On this matter, it was very hard for Yi Hua to change his mind. After all, this matter was related to his mother, and it could be counted as touching Yi Hua's reverse scale. Qian Yuqing tidied up Yi's clothes, then said coldly towards the woodshed. If you all dare to bully people again, kill without mercy, no one will be able to save you all. When the palace maids heard that, they trembled. It wasn't good for Qian Yuqing to stay for too long. If Yi Hua heard what she said, he would definitely scold her again. Right now, Yi Hua's mood wasn't good to begin with. After walking out of the woodshed, Qian Yuqing asked, Yuanqing, do you feel that Yi looks like a spy? Doesn't look like one. Yi Yuanqing shook his head. This was based on a woman's intuition because right now he was only looking at the surface. However, Yi Hua is certain. Yi Yuanqing said lightly. After all, Yi's suspicion is the biggest, and it is an iron-like fact that Yi wasted the spiritual spring. That's right, if Yi didn't waste the spiritual spring, this might not have happened. Qian Yuqing let out a light sigh. On one hand, she was worried about her mother, and on the other hand, she was worried about Yi. Could it be that there is no way to satisfy both sides? Inside the woodshed, Yi sat on the stone bench at the side, took out the lollipop that Yi Zizi gave to her, and held it in her mouth. End of this chapter. Chapter 1146. Feeling that special sweetness, Yi felt comfortable in her heart. Then, she wrapped it up in paper and ate it when she was in a bad mood. However, when she thought about how Ye was about to get married, Yi felt uncomfortable. It has been so long. Why isn't there a single explanation? Even if it's just a simple explanation, I don't want much. I just want a sentence. Yi slightly raised her head and looked at the sky above the palace. The sky was no longer as blue as before. Qian Yuqing and Yi Yuanqing arrived at Lu Jing's bedroom and discovered that Yi Hua was discussing something with his mother. Aunt Lu. Yi Yuanqing called out sweetly. Yuanqing is here. Quickly let Aunt Lu take a look. Lu Jing's mood was very good as she smiled towards Yi Yuanqing. Yi Yuanqing walked to Lu Jing's side and held onto Lu Jing's hand. Aunt Lu, you are much prettier than before. Then, wasn't Aunt Lu beautiful before? Lu Jing asked back. Yi Yuanqing didn't know what to say. This reaction caused Lu Jing to laugh. Aunt Lu, you are teasing Yuanqing again. Yi Yuanqing acted coquettishly. Lu Jing lightly caressed Yi Yuanqing's hair. At this moment, 3 figures appeared at the door. Qingye, Donghuang Baiji, and Qin Yutong could be seen slowly walking in. It had been a few days since Yi Hua last talked to Qingye and Donghuang Baiji. Right now, no one was talking to each other. Mother, the 3 respectfully called out. Sister-in-law is here. Yi Yuanqing smiled happily. Although she had never seen Qin Yutong before, she had heard about her. Qin Yutong looked at Yi Yuanqing with a dumbfounded look on her face. Could this be brother-in-law's concubine again? She looks quite pretty. Brother-in-law finally understands and knows how to expand his harem. Yutong, this is Yi Hua's sister. Qingye introduced, not letting her sister think too much. Qin Yutong's mouth twitched. So she is brother-in-law's sister, my God. I was thinking too much just now. What a scary thought. Hello, sister-in-law. Hello, sister-in-law. Yi Yuanqing could feel that Qin Yutong's personality was very easy to get along with. However, Yi Yuanqing also felt that Big Brother seemed to have quarreled with the two sisters-in-law. Big Brother didn't even bother to look at them. Lu Jing was helpless. This son of mine just wants face so much. He just had to coax his wife a little. It was a very simple matter, but the more he coaxed her, the more complicated it became. Lu Jing laughed lightly. Yehua, call Lil Tian and Gong Yu over. After all, this is also their matter. Yihua nodded his head, then sent a sound transmission to Yi Juetian to bring Gong Yu over. What is it, mother? Qian Yuqing curiously asked. Yihua said faintly, I plan to let them get married as soon as possible. Everyone was a little confused. Wasn't it supposed to be 2 months later? Why was it suddenly brought forward? Yihua knew that these people were puzzled, and he said gravely, recently, a lot of bad things have happened, and I plan to wash away the bad things that have happened. I hope that there will be a good omen. Everyone finally understood what Yihua was planning to do. Thinking about it, it made sense. Too many bad things had happened recently, and it was a good choice to wash away the bad news. They were going to get married anyway, so it didn't matter if they got married earlier. However, Qian Yuqing was worried about Yi Juetian and Gong Yu quickly appeared, and the first thing they did was respectfully greet them. Little Tian. Yihua called out lightly. Big Brother, do you have any instructions for me? Big Brother plans to let you and Gong Yu get married as soon as possible, and the time will be 7 days later. Yihua said lightly. He hoped that this would bring him a bit of good luck. After all, this was a happy occasion. After Gong Yu heard this, she felt joyous in her heart. Only by getting married as soon as possible would the stone in my heart be at ease. However, after Yi Juetian heard this, he instantly became absent-minded. Although he knew that the wedding was going to be completed soon, he wasn't prepared at all in his heart. Big Brother, isn't it a bit too hasty? Yi Juetian said in a soft voice. You don't have to worry about this matter. Big Brother will arrange it for you. Yihua said faintly. Now that my little brother has gotten married, I will be able to put my heart at ease and deal with other matters. Yi Juetian didn't say anything. Little Tian, in the future, you will be a man with a wife, so you have to become more sensible. Do you understand? Take good care of Gong Yu. Lu Jing said with a slight smile, feeling gratified in her heart. Her youngest son's marriage has finally been settled. Yi Juetian was still able to say, All right, mother, I understand. I will take good care of Gong Yu. Gong Yu stood at the side, looking very shy, just like a little wife. Gong Yu wasn't faking it. She was indeed very happy. I still have some matters to attend to, mother. I will be leaving first. Yihua stood up and said faintly, seemingly not wanting to sit in the same room as Qingye and Donghuang Baiji. Lu Jing wrinkled her brows. Yihua, why are you in such a rush? Eat at mother's place. The two of you don't leave. Accompany this old mother to eat. Everyone knew what Lu Jing's intention was. I have already said it. Is Yihua not going to accompany mother to eat? That's impossible. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji felt wronged in their hearts. It was clearly you who was in the wrong first, and yet, you are still giving us that attitude right now, and you are even ignoring us. All right, let's see who can last longer. The dishes were all prepared by Blood Demon, the head chef, and all of the dishes were Yihua's favorite dishes, such as crayfish, crab. The delightful aroma immediately pervaded the entire room. Brother-in-law, for little Tian's big wedding, who are we going to invite over? We have to make it more lively. Qing Yutong asked curiously. Yihua had long thought about this, and he said faintly, the big shots from all of the surrounding powers, to be more precise, the big shots from the entire north. Wah, to make it so big. Qing Yutong felt that this is fun. Brother-in-law is probably trying to show off his strength, right? Qing Yutong indeed understood Yihua. Yihua indeed wants to show off his strength, and let the entire north know that Wushu Empire is invincible. Yihua nodded his head. When the time comes, the two of you should be more dignified. This sentence was clearly said to Qingye and Donghuang Baiji. It's fine to quarrel, but when the day comes, remember your identity and don't lose face for me. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji still don't know what Yihua meant? This fellow not only wants to show off his strength, He also wants to show off his women. He is simply born to act cool. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji knew what was more important. When the time comes, all of the big shots from the entire north will be present. No matter how much they quarrel, they will still have to give Yihua face. Yuqing, what's wrong? Yihua asked lightly. He noticed that Qian Yuqing's expression was a bit abnormal. Qian Yuqing smiled slightly. It's nothing. In actuality, Qian Yuqing was thinking, when the time comes, the consequences would be unimaginable. At this moment, Qingye suddenly said, Yuqing is thinking, when are you going to give her a wedding? This sentence of hers is very profound. Yihua immediately understood what Qingye was trying to say. You are blaming me for not giving you a wedding again. Isn't it just a ceremony? If these women want to mention it once a year, then I will just drag it on for a year. End of this chapter. Chapter 1147. At this time Lu Jing also said, Yehua, no matter how busy you are, you still have to think about your wife, do you understand? With Granny speaking up for them, Qingye and the others were happy in their hearts. It is fortunate that we have Granny to help us. Yihua said in a low voice, Mother, I understand. After I am done with this matter, I will marry them. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji snorted in their hearts. What kind of tone is this? It's as if he's very unwilling. Act tough, King Yi. We still haven't agreed to it. Lu Jing was also helping her son and daughter-in-law to ease the tension between them. Husband and wife are fighting on the bed, right? Look. You agreed to get married. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji's expressions became much worse. After Yihua finished eating, he went to look for absolute heaven to see if there was any progress. Soon after, Yihua once again held a mobilization meeting and invited all of the powers in the north. Those who gave him face would come. Not giving me face, hee. Of course, the wedding invitations were sent out by a group of subordinates. Although the time was relatively short, it was still within the scope of control. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji still joined the group to help out, but the Cold War still continued, and Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing were also unable to do anything about it. Yi Juetian was vexed, but Gong Yu was happy. After all, she was about to marry into the Yi family. At that time, he would be a member of the Yi family. In the woodshed, no one dared to bully Yi anymore. These palace maids were not fools. They knew that Yi was protected by the Empress. If they continued to bully her, they would be courting death. At this time, several palace maids gathered together to discuss the matter of Lord Yi, which was also the latest news. Have you heard? Lord Ye's wedding date has been brought forward. Of course I know. It was supposed to be a few months, but it was suddenly postponed to a few days later. I'm so envious. To be able to marry a man like Prince Yi, he's so handsome. That's right. Prince Yi and His Majesty are blood-related brothers. They look exactly the same. Sleeping with one is equivalent to sleeping with two. You coquettish hussy. Yi carried her dinner, and was just about to enter when she heard the news about Yi Juetian. She stopped in her tracks. When Yi heard that Ye's wedding date had been brought forward a few days later, she was completely stupefied, and the rice bowl in her hand fell to the ground. This attracted the attention of the palace maids inside. The palace maids walked out one after another, and when they saw Yi, who was in a daze, they were already used to it. This woman was so infatuated that it felt like she was sick. However, she had the support of the Empress. The palace maid hurriedly helped Yi tidy up, and even warmly invited Yi into the room. Yi's mind was filled with the news of Ye's upcoming marriage. On this day, Yi didn't know how she got through it. She felt like her inner world had completely collapsed. Although I knew that this day would come, but when it really came, I didn't know what to do. Panic, all kinds of emotions pervaded Yi's mind. However, wasn't it the same for Yi Juetian as well? They were clearly in the same palace. Yet, it was hard for them to meet each other. Night fell. Yi got up from the bed. Since Yi didn't come and look for me, then I will go and look for Yi. Why didn't you come and meet me? Even if you just let someone pass a word to me, it would be fine. After putting on her clothes, Yi opened the door and walked out, appearing to be very careful. But where is Ye? The imperial palace is so big. Where am I going to find him? Yi couldn't care less. If she didn't find Ye, she would even have the heart to die. If Ye didn't want him anymore, then what was the point of him staying in this world? Walking in the dark and gloomy imperial palace, Yi felt so unfamiliar and scary. The walls were clearly not very tall, yet they separated Yi and Ye. And why did you come out? A voice rang out behind Yi. Yi's heart sunk. I just came out and I am going to be caught? Suddenly turning her head around, Yi saw a little girl. Isn't this the little girl that gave me a candy that day? It's you. Yi let out a breath. I feel that this little girl doesn't have any ill intentions. The little girl that came was precisely Yi Zizi. In actuality, Yi Zizi also came to look for Yi. Yi Zizi thought to herself that the lollipop should have been finished by Yi, right? Seeing that Yi is pitiful, I decided to give you another lollipop. In the end, I didn't expect that Yi would sneak out. Don't you know that you will die if you sneak out like this? Yi Zizi said while shouting the lollipop. Yi lightly bit onto her lips. She knew the rules of the woodshed. Without the orders of a female official, sneaking out of the woodshed was a crime. Yi Zizi let out a light sigh. This woman is truly pitiful. Where do you want to go? Yi Zizi asked curiously. I want to go look for Yi. Yi didn't know what to do and directly set out her purpose. Yi Zizi asked confusedly, Yi? Yi Juetian. Oh, why are you looking for him? I want to ask him. Yi said in a low voice, appearing to be in a lot of pain. Yi Zizi let out a light sigh. Do you know where Yi Juetian's bedroom is? I don't know. You are really stupid, just swaggering around like this. If you get caught, you will be dead for sure. Yi Zizi shook her head. This woman is really stupid. She doesn't even know how to plan properly before coming out. However, Yi Zizi also knew why Yi was in a hurry to look for Yi Juetian. After all, the news of the marriage had already spread, and Yi was anxious. Should I help her or not? Looking at such a pitiful woman, Yi Zizi let out a breath. I will bring you there. Really? Will it be inconvenient? Yi felt happy in her heart, but she still had to think for Yi Zizi's sake. Don't let Yi Zizi get punished because of me. What's inconvenient about it? Aren't you just saying a few words? Yi Zizi asked. And just asking a few words. All right, I, Yi Zizi, have never done a good deed before, so I will do a good deed today. Yi Zizi grabbed onto Yi's hand and instantly disappeared from the spot. Within Yi Juetian's bedroom, there were only a few palace maids on duty. However, those few palace maids immediately became strange, as if they were fixed in place. Yi Juetian and Gong Yu, who were in the room, frowned, and Gong Yu came out from her own room. The two looked at each other. It's already so late. Who wants to come and cause trouble? Right now, Yi appeared at the bottom of the stairs outside the door, and Yi Zizi stood guard for her. Since I have already helped, I might as well help till the end. Yi! Yi, who was outside, lightly called out. Yi Juetian, who was in the room, was startled, while Gong Yu tightly wrinkled her brows. I never expected that the one who came was actually Yi. This damnable woman. I am going to get married soon. Why does she still have to come and cause trouble? Is she trying to cause trouble? Gong Yu looked towards Yi Juetian, and saw that Yi Juetian had a joyous look on his face, and was about to rush out. Gong Yu held on to the excited Yi Juetian, and Yi Juetian turned around with a puzzled expression. You can't go out right now. If you go out, you will be harming Yi. Gong Yu said gravely. Yi Juetian's excited look was instantly defeated by reality. That's right, end of this chapter. Chapter 1148. I can't go out. If Big Brother hears about this and I meet with Yi again, then Big Brother, everything that I have done will be in vain. However, I really want to go out, look at Yi, hug her tightly, and tell her how much I miss you. That me and Gong Yu getting married is all for you. As long as you can live, I am willing to do anything. Ye. Yi called out once again. Why is Ye ignoring me? You didn't come, but I came. Yet I closed the door and refused to see you. Could it be that Ye really doesn't like me anymore? That can't be. Ye likes me, he said it before. Hearing Yi's call, Yi Juetian's brain transmitted the signal to rush out. Hug the woman I love and tell her all of your feelings. However, Yi Juetian's rationality told him that the consequences of rushing out would be very severe. Right now, the wedding invitations had already been sent out. If anything were to happen, the entire Wushu Empire's face would be thrown away. Not only Big Brother would be humiliated, everyone would be humiliated as well. Juetian, don't be rash. Do you want to kill Yi? Gong Yu shouted lightly, stopping the two from meeting. Yi Juetian stopped moving. He was completely defeated by reality. What should I do? What should I do? Yi Juetian mumbled. He discovered that he was so useless, he didn't even dare to push open the door, as if the weight of the door was not something that he could push open at all. Gong Yu bit her lips tightly. You have to quickly let Yi go back. If Yi is discovered, it will be even more dangerous. Yi Juetian felt that what Gong Yu said was right. Only by obediently staying in the woodshed would Yi be able to keep her life. Ye, Yi called out for the third time, her tone becoming more and more miserable each time. Yi. Yi Juetian called out the name in his heart. Yi, who was standing outside the door, was delighted, seemingly wanting to rush up the stairs, push open the door, and fiercely hug Ye. I don't care what you did in the past, as long as you talk to me, don't ignore me. However, Yi Juetian said gravely, don't move. Yi, who was raising her legs, stopped and looked at the double doors above her head, as well as the human figure. Ye is right there, and the human figure at the side should be Gong Yu, right? Right when Yi was about to speak, Yi Juetian said, Yi, go back, don't come again. Yi, whose face was filled with joy, was stunned. Her entire body trembled, and she felt her ears ringing. Ye actually told her to leave? How could this be? Ye, I'm here to see you. It's me, Yi, can you come out? Yi squeezed out a smile and smiled at the figure. This smile was heartbreaking. At the very least, Yi Zizi, who was standing not far away, felt uncomfortable when she saw it. Yi Juetian tightly clenched his fists, while Gong Yu held onto Yi Juetian's hand, preventing him from rushing out. Go back and stay in the woodshed, Yi Juetian said in a low voice. Yi did not understand. Why was she still unwilling to take a look even though she was here? Ye, do you not like me anymore? Yi asked with a desolate tone. At this moment, the cold wind was howling, and Yi's silhouette seemed so frail and weak. Yi Zizi gently waved her hand and stopped the cold wind. A struggling expression appeared on Yi Juetian's face. Idiot. How could I not like you? As long as you are alive, I will continue to like you. If you are dead, who am I going to like? Yi, I like you. Then, why aren't you willing to come out and see me? Yi, go back, you are not safe right now. Yi Juetian said gravely. There are so many spies in the palace, and if Big Brother hears about this, it would be troublesome. Yi did not cry, nor did she make a fuss. She just looked at the two figures in the room and felt heartache. She said that she likes me, yet she isn't willing to see me. Is this really love? This is no longer love. This kind of love has already lost its meaning. If you want me to go back to the woodshed, then I will go back. Yi will still choose to listen to you, even if you don't like Yi anymore. Carrying disappointment, Yi turned around and left. Gong Yu let out a breath. This damned woman, I almost let them meet. Luckily, Yi Juetian did not rush out. No. If this Yi doesn't die, I won't be able to have a day of peace. I have to think of a way. Juetian, things will get better in the future. As long as mother's illness is cured, Big Brother won't blame Yi. At that time, you can just plead for Yi, and Yi will be fine. Gong Yu consoled Yi attentively, acting as a kind-hearted woman. Yi Juetian felt that what Gong Yu said was right. As long as mother's illness is cured, Big Brother's hostility towards Yi should lessen a bit. Gong Yu, thank you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know what to do. Yi Juetian thanked sincerely. Gong Yu smiled tenderly. Juetian, is there a need to be so courteous between us? After hearing that, Yi Juetian felt very unnatural. I and Gong Yu have already gotten intimate with each other, and have already done the deed of husband and wife. I can only hope that these days will be over soon. A cold light flashed past Gong Yu's eyes, and she seemed to have an idea. On the other side, Yi Zizi brought Yi back to the woodshed. It's fine, I will listen to Ye's words and properly stay here. Yi forced out a smile, but who knew how much pain she was feeling in her heart. Yi Zizi did not say anything and took out a lollipop. The one you gave me last time. I haven't finished eating it yet. Yi took out the lollipop and showed it to Yi Zizi. Yi Zizi didn't expect that Yi would eat a lollipop like this and became speechless. Thank you for today's matter. If you need any help, just call for me. Yi was very grateful towards Yi Zizi. There are still good people in the palace. I reckon that even Yi Zizi didn't expect that there would be someone who would call her a good person. Yi Zizi laughed lightly. If I can't even solve the problem myself, what's the point of calling for you? I will be leaving first then. Yi Zizi said faintly. Without waiting for Yi to say anything, Yi Zizi disappeared from where she was. After Yi Zizi left, Yi slowly sat on the bed and looked at the flickering oil lamp. No matter what, I will be able to hear Ye's voice. He said that he likes me, and that is enough. Right now Yi was hypnotizing herself. She would rather believe that Yi Juetian likes me than believe in anything else. Yi sat on the bed for a very, very long time, and thought for a very long time. Yi. A voice suddenly rang out. Yi looked towards the corner of the room and cried out in surprise, Gongyu. Yi. Gongyu walked forward and lightly hugged onto Yi. Yi revealed a moved look on her face as she hugged onto Gongyu tightly. However, Gongyu's gaze was not moved. Instead, it was filled with a sinister meaning. Yi, it's fine, it will be fine in the future. Gongyu consoled Yi lightly. If it was possible, I would make Yi die without a burial ground right now. However, if she killed Yi, Big Brother Emperor would definitely investigate this matter. The gains would not make up for the losses. Yi was the one who couldn't stand being consoled by others the most. At this moment, she couldn't hold it in any longer, and her tears fell like rain. End of this chapter. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.